I thought I heard the old man say, "Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Tomorrow ye will get your pay, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her." Oh, the wind was foul and the sea ran high. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. She shipped it green and none went by, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. I hate to sail on this rotten tub. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. No grog allowed and rotten grub, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. We swear by our oath for want of more. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. But now we're through, so we'll go on shore, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Now you're ready to sail for the Horn. Way, hey, roll and go. Our boots and our clothes, boys, are all in the porn. To me rollicking randy dandy, oh. Heave a pole, heave away. Way, hey, roll and go. The anchor's on board and the cable's all stored. To me rollicking randy dandy, oh. Soon we'll be warping her out through the locks. Way, hey, roll and go. Where the pretty young girls all come down in their frocks. To me rollicking randy dandy, oh. Heave a pole, heave away. Hey, hey, roll and go. The anchor's on board and the cable's all stored. To me rollicking randy dandy, oh. Come breast the bars, bullies, heave her away. Way, hey, roll and go. Soon we'll be rolling her down through the bay. To be rollicking randy dandy, oh. Heave a pole, heave away. Way, hey, roll and go. The anchor's on board and the cable's all stored. To be rollicking randy dandy, oh.
Indeed. Randy Dandy. Oh. Oh, as the song goes. How are you guys doing? Hopefully you're doing good. Hopefully you have also left her, unlike Johnny. That dude. Tell you what, that dude. You should read the funny Polygon review on Resynced. Dude, they are going full, like, balls deep on the let's outdo our last stupid take trend. And initially, like, we looked at it for Red Dead 2, and I was thinking of us doing like a video where we made fun of them, like maybe I think somebody else edited similar stuff. But basically, like, I was like, oh, we could try to make the ultimate Polygon game where it's just like gameplay, and then next to it we have TikTok auto scrolling, and then next to that we have Cocomelon playing. Next to that we just have bright colorful lights shining and flashing across the screen. Like, I was thinking we could do that, but then I was like, you know what, that's almost too much effort than it deserves, because clearly it's rage bait. Clearly they're just trying to get you to click, get the view, get the ad, registered or whatever. Like, it's not good faith. It would be one thing if I thought that they were being serious with their opinions, but at this point, I have the feeling like they're just trying to say the most ridiculous thing they can. And at that point, I don't want to even engage. Like, a bad take that's earnest is interesting, or bad maybe is presumptive. A wild take, an out of left field take is awesome because it makes you like pause. You consider it, you evaluate it. Maybe they're right. Maybe that take is, it's crazy, but maybe there's something to it, That's why whenever somebody comes along and they're like, I don't think The Witcher 3 is as good as people say, but hear me out. And then they put together like a thoughtful explanation. Even if I end up still disagreeing, it's interesting because they have like a true opinion that they're trying to present. That Polygon stuff though is just them trying to upset you. It really seems like it's just them trying to rage bait people. And at that point, I'm not that interested in discussing it, I don't want to reward it. That's my thing. Benedict, thank you for the 5. Did you see you be letting people play the game early with a glitch through Ubisoft Connect purchases? Been playing early since yesterday. Yes, I did see there was apparently some glitch where people were able to bypass the timer on Ubisoft Connect. So they were able to start playing yesterday, which is pretty funny. I don't know how that works, frankly. I didn't dig into how difficult it was to like find the exploit, but still, it's pretty interesting. Like they had the problem with shadows and they're having this too. It's crazy. Didn't you wear this shirt yesterday? This is my little spoiler for you. I am a simple man. So I wear the same, what do you call model type? I wear the same shirt, but I just have a stack of like 20 of them in like 5 colors and I just swap them out. So sometimes I'm not paying attention. I'll put on the same color, but when you find a shirt you like, why change it? If you look back on all of the streams for the last like year, you'll see I'm always wearing like the exact same shirts, just swapping out the colors occasionally, but some of the ones that are more usable, I'll just get like 3 or 4 of the same colors. Yeah. I'm a simple man. I don't have the energy to like try, I think is the term. Like I see some people really try. They got the fit, they got the fashionable, whatever the crap. I can't do that, man. I'm not that sophisticated. I am a simple man. I show up, I put on the same shirts that's in the stack. I know I like all the shirts in that stack, so I just grab one from the stack and I'm good. I don't need the fancy designer crap. I don't need to know that this was bought at what's a fancy store? I don't even know. Like I think of fancy store and I'm like, oh, I went to Macy's. I don't think that's considered fancy. Gucci? I guess Gucci. Do they even make shirts? I don't know. So anyway, yeah, once I have something I like, I just stick with it, and it's boring, but I think there's fancier stuff too. Or there's other stuff I'd rather put energy into, Lol, I was thinking Macy's, Calvin Klein, but is Calvin Klein like a poor person's idea of fancy? Because like I remember seeing one thing, I think it was Mickey Rourke before he got all melted, and he was talking about how the highest quality stuff is stuff you probably haven't heard of. Like it's the mom and pop Italian tailor that's in the corner of this street and they make everything by hand and they import all the fabric, and like the people who know, but you would never have heard of it, like, more broadly. I'm not interested in like designer brands, I guess. If it's comfortable and it gets the job done, I'm happy, That's where I'm at. I can't read. When are you going to build Lego Barad-dûr? It's kind of hidden. I've got like technically I think about half of it done. It just happens to be black and then it's against a black door. But it is there. I've been working through it. The box is open. I work through it. When I have like an extra hour or two, I'll sit down, do a few bags and then move on. So yeah. Just wear wax or body paint. I've heard body paint is comfortable. You ever seen those videos of the people that like paint on their swimsuits instead of, yeah. I've heard of those stories. I've not. I would never look at that, but I've heard of that. So, but you do like your pricey electronics? I do. I do like my pricey electronics. I like my fancy stuff. But like that, I'm thankful I don't have more expensive tastes when it comes to clothes, because that can eat up money real quick. I have a buddy who's really into designer clothes and really into cars. Goodbye spending money. I mean, oh my God. Some of the stuff where he's like, yeah, just I wasn't happy with the rims on the car, so I swapped those out. I was like, oh, okay, just order some new rims on Amazon or whatever. And he's like, he laughed at me. He did the rich man laugh to a poor person. Like, oh, no. Each rim is like $4,000. Ordered them. And I'm like, why? Like, I don't get it. I respect it if you're into cars, but some of the car modification stuff, I can't keep up with it. I just don't understand. Josh Sawyer, you guys are saying there's stuff with Josh Sawyer breaking. Hold on. I'm pulling it up. It's being pulled up. It's pulling up right now. We're all being pulled up together. Pulling right now. We're pulling together. We're pulling it up together. Here it is. Okay. Are you ready? This is breaking news, fam. Breaking news. Ready for this? Right meow? Not even joking. Don't pull out. I'm not. We're pulling up. I didn't say down. I didn't say left, right, or center. I said up. We're pulling up. Okay? Yeah, you better believe that. Luke never pulled at you. We got stuff to do. Stuff to talk about. Let's do this. Okay. Breaking news. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news coming out of Bloomberg, of all places. Microsoft's Xbox to shift Obsidian Studio to new Fallout video game. I've not read this yet. I literally just pulled it out. Kind of made a big deal about pulling it up live on stream because it just dropped 28 minutes ago or something like that. That's crazy. Okay. Wow. Okay, hold on. And this is Bloomberg, okay? This isn't some dude on a podcast saying, yeah, I think that there's something happening you might like. They're just saying, no, they're working on it. So Microsoft is having Obsidian move to Fallout. So I'm assuming no more Avowed 2, no Outer Worlds 3, which was already confirmed. They weren't doing that. And Obsidian is now going to become basically mini Fallout Studio. Thank you, Asha. That seems to be the goal. Key takeaways. Obsidian Entertainment has canceled multiple projects and will begin working on a new game in the Fallout franchise as part of the division's broader restructuring. The studio has laid off around a quarter of its workforce and canceled a planned sequel to the 2025 role-playing game Avowed, along with other unannounced projects. They actually did can it. I'm going to be honest. I thought Avowed was fine. It wasn't particularly remarkable, but it was fine. I had a good time with it when it wasn't totally broken. For me, I had really bad luck with it. But I always thought it was surprising that when everybody is clamoring for a Fallout game and Obsidian is the most obvious team to assign it to, Phil Spencer had them working on a sequel to Avowed. What? How does that make sense? Oh, light the Todd candle? You're right. Technically, I think that Todd is actually probably not thrilled about this. I'm going to be real. I don't think Todd's that thrilled about this, but we'll light the candle anyway, because he is always burning in our hearts and our minds. And whether we want it or not, his detail always shines upon us and gives us peace. Amen. There's no shot they're ever talking to me again. I'm just being real. Luke, you have to put the candle away. No. Okay. Continuing. Studio design director Josh Sawyer will lead the new Fallout title, and Obsidian will work with Bethesda Game Studios on the project. Oh. It's okay. Which is part of Xbox CEO Asha Sharma's plan to invest more in the company's biggest I would add in the word girthiest, personally, but biggest, sure, franchises. So the exact article, Obsidian Entertainment, a subsidiary of Microsoft Xbox, has canceled multiple projects, will begin working on a new game in the popular Fallout franchise. I'm just going to be honest and direct. Why the hell was this not already happening? You know, can we just be real? Can we be honest for a second? Like, we tried to give Phil a chance, and for a long time I do think Phil was well intentioned. I do think Phil was trying his best to make gaming affordable. Xbox Game Pass, the best value in gaming. I think all of that's true, and I think his core idea for running and managing the studios was stay out of their way. Let Bethesda run their stuff, let Obsidian do their stuff. Stay out of their way, let them make their own games, and we will just publish and distribute it, basically, which is a noble cause. But that's only really, frankly, a privilege of the successful to do whatever you want. You know, when you have FU money, you can do that. When your company is imploding, you can't really afford to do that. And the simplest and most direct example of how insane the mismanagement of IP has been is that of course, Xbox has had a smash success with the Fallout TV show. Bear in mind, they've had 2 successful seasons. That is literally twice the number of successful and popular seasons that Sony was able to pull off with The Last of Us. Because we all know how that went. I do have my I'm Gonna Be a Dad shirt here somewhere. I would wear it, but it's not worth it for the bit. So they have a successful show, 2 successful seasons, and they have no game to show for it, not even a like remaster or remake. They had the Fallout Anniversary update, or Fallout 4 Anniversary update, whatever they called it, that literally broke the game so badly you couldn't use VATs.
At Brockta during 1898
That's
donated
insane.
$30.99
Golly,
through
thank
Super
you.
Chat. Here's $30, get yourself a nice shirt, winking face. Aside from GTA 6, what do you think the game of the year will be this year? Personally, I'm thinking 007.
I'm thinking 007, but the Game Awards has a huge recency bias for end of year games. I think 007 is one of the front runners. You also have to remember that there's the chance that Ocarina of Time and Duskbloods comes out within the window. We also have other games like Phantom Blade Zero. We've got other games coming in like that September, October window as well. So I think there will be probably a few that are like serious candidates, but as of right now, I'm not sure if there's anything that's going to be like God of War 2018 levels to upset it. You know, it's going to be very, very hard to beat GTA 6. I'm just going to be real. But Wolverine, I personally think Wolverine probably is like, you know, a solid B minus. I think it's going to be good, most likely, but I don't think it's going to be like, you know, earth shattering. Dawn Walker, I think will be really good. I think it will be polarizing though. Like I think that there's parts of it that are really good. There's other parts that will frustrate people. Similar with like Crimson Desert. I freaking love Crimson Desert, and it's on my short list for contention as well, just because it is truly remarkable. But whether or not like the game's journalism press thinks that is a separate question, you know, because you got to remember, you're not trying to convince me, you're not trying to convince Joe Schmo gamer, like you're trying to convince the game's media, because they decide what wins Game of the Year at the Game Awards. So what will they like the most? Probably GTA 6. I'm gonna be real. But you never know. There could be total like massive surprises. Phantom Blade Zero, I wouldn't sleep on that one. That one could be good. That could be big. So we'll see. But thank you for the 30 Australian dollary dues, which I'm told is the official way you pronounce Australian dollars, is you have to add dollary do. So thank you for that, my friend. Much love. And I will get a shirt with that. You better believe it. Much love. Okay. Where was I? What was I saying? Oh yeah. So 2 successful seasons. No show. They broke it. Yes, I'm back on track. Okay. So the Fallout 4 Anniversary update breaks VATs. That's insane. That's ridiculous. It takes them 19 months to patch it and fix it. And you know how they fixed the broken VATS system, which is like core to the combat of Fallout 4? They just undid the Anniversary update. Pulled a Control Z on that one. Problem solved. Problem solved. It's almost like they just should never have even tried. So that's all they've really had to show for it in all this time. Todd will talk about it, how he has like Fallout 76 updates and things like that. But let's be honest, Toddathy, that's not enough. Okay, your diehard core fan base isn't that excited by Fallout 76 updates. They want like Fallout New Vegas remake, remaster. They want even like Fallout 3 remake, remaster would go a long way. They want Fallout 5. They want something like that. They are not interested in Fallout 76 adding 4 new things to the in-game store. That's not that exciting, Todd. Forgive me. I got heated. Like Todd. Get it? He's a candle. Moving on. The video game studio based in Irvine, California, Obsidian, also laid off around a quarter of its workforce, said the people who asked not to be identified because they were not authorized to speak to the press. As part of the shakeup, Obsidian has canceled a planned sequel to 2025 role-playing game Avowed, along with other unannounced projects. And apparently this was actually decently far along. Like, they'd actually laid a good amount of groundwork for it, and they're just canceling it. Honestly, I get it though. Like, Asha's looking at it and she's saying, guys, Avowed didn't light the world on fire. Why would we like double down and spend realistically $100 million on a sequel that we'll get in 4 to 5 years when like even the people that liked Avowed, I think would still like Fallout more, you know? And I'm not saying that to be like mean. I'm just being real, like just being totally real. Under the new plan, the studio design director, Josh Sawyer, will lead a new title in the Fallout universe, a series of role-playing games that take place in an alternative history in which the U.S. has been ravaged by the nuclear war. The emerging strategy is still in flux, the people said, and could still change. I mean, this sounds like Asha made the call. We're laying off these people, shut down Avowed, and have them do Fallout. Previously, Sawyer had been directing a role-playing game that was similarly structured and thematically, similar structurally and thematically to Fallout, but was not part of the franchise. Xbox spokesperson declined to comment. The shift takes place as Xbox Chief Executive Officer Asha Sharma executes what she has called a reset of the organization. On Monday, Sharma announced plans to cut 3,200 jobs, of course, divesting 5 studios. Half of these hit day one. The rest will play out over the next year. And she said specifically that she wants to invest more in the biggest franchises, including Fallout and Elder Scrolls, which have, of course, sold tens of millions of copies. And that's where a lot of the interest is right now. And amazingly enough, Xbox has just completely failed to capitalize on it. It's again, no matter which way you look at it, even if you liked Phil as a person, I think we can all agree he was not good at managing the portfolio and like release cadence, release quality and consistency, and also timing things properly. I mean, I really think his strategy was just stay out of the way and don't tell people what to do. Don't overview, don't keep an eye on stuff, which sounds nice if people are doing a good job, right? If they're working on stuff that people want. Because we've heard so many stories of like executives coming in, reviewing something, and then they cancel something that would have been great. And like, that's a horror story we've heard 1,000 times over. My general opinion is that usually games that get canceled, like they don't cancel stuff they think is going to be a smash hit. They don't tend to cancel something and walk away from $100 million investment if they thought it was going to make 200 million. You know, they tend to cancel stuff that isn't working. And that they don't think is going to sell, that they don't think is going to be successful. There are some exceptions where they'll shut studios down or projects down for other reasons, like maybe to squash rumors of a union or something like that, which is illegal, but you know, that's why there's lawyers for these big corporations. But typically if something is canceled, it's because it just wasn't working out. And often I think oversight with any business is important. Phil just really seemed to have intentionally avoid oversight, full stop, period, and just let people do whatever they wanted to do. And the hope was that it was empowering enough that they would find something to do, that like they would stumble into big successes, but it just didn't really work out when you have that free flowing style of release cadence. You just end up with a lot of games that people are like, okay, like it's not bad, but it's not really what I want. You know, you need to be able to deliver what people are demanding. Despite its critical and commercial success, the Fallout video game series has not seen a new entry since 2018's online title Fallout 76 because its primary developer, Xbox Game Studio or Bethesda Game Studios, has been focused on other projects. Bethesda has also regularly updated and created new content for Fallout 76, which has reached more than 23 million players. It's true, I do think they've had that many players, but I think like this is why you just have to remember the core fan base and the Fallout 76 fan base, I think, are pretty separated, and it's uncomfortable to acknowledge that, because I think once you acknowledge that they're different fan bases, the people that like the live service versus the single player like RPGs, you realize that Fallout fans until now we're gonna have to wait 20 years between releases, which is insane. The only Fallout game in the last 2 decades to not come from Bethesda was 2010's Fallout New Vegas, developed by Obsidian and directed by Sawyer, of course. Although New Vegas has become a fan favorite, Bethesda has maintained control over the franchise. The Rockville, Maryland-based studio will work with Obsidian on the new project, the people said, which honestly I think is less of a selling point than they think it is. Obsidian released 3 games last year, 2 of which did not meet sales expectations, including Avowed. The company told Bloomberg Businessweek the studio had been hoping to build on Avowed by developing a sequel on a shorter time frame using the world and technology that it had already created. This, I think, actually would have been possible because Avowed was originally a multiplayer game and then they restructured it into what we got, which is why it's way better than it should have been, considering it started as a multiplayer game. But I don't, this is anecdotal, and the you know, what do they say, the plural of anecdote is not data. This is anecdotal, but I have not come across in chat or otherwise, I've not come across a single person who has wanted a sequel to Avowed. Everybody that we've talked about when we're like, what should Obsidian do next? Everybody says something Fallout related. So I always thought it was surprising they were doing Avowed. And I thought Avowed was like good, like fine, or even good at times, but I was just surprised that they weren't going what was like so clearly and obviously the right direction, I think. Progress on the sequel was going well, and it was on track to be announced within the next year, but in the end, it did not fit into Sharma's overall strategy, according to people familiar with the game's development. Some Obsidian employees will continue working on the Avowed sequel as they wait for new projects such as Fallout to be ready, perhaps in hope of one day reviving the game. Obsidian will also continue to develop DLC for the last year's Outer Worlds 2, and will still work on the live service multiplayer game Grounded 2 as well. Wow, breaking news. I think, you know, this is compounded with some other stuff. Jason Schreier, I'm sure as part of the reporting on this article, was talking about how Elder Scrolls 6 is at least 2 years away from BGS, which we'll talk about in another segment here in just a few minutes. But all of this kind of reminded me of something that Todd said in an interview with Maddie. And I just want to play it for you. I want you to see it because what Todd says here is important. Okay. It takes him about a minute or two to get to the point, so bear with me, but this is very interesting. Again, this is an interview that Mr. Maddie Plays did with Todd like a year and a half ago, something like that. 2 years ago. Okay. Over 2 years ago. Let's see what Todd said.
Continuing to grow in popularity. Let's talk a little bit about New Vegas too. Like what would you say is the holdup for such a potential, for many fans, obvious, very exciting success and project here? Like it seemed like when I listened to your interview with Kind of Funny, there are some things in motion with Fallout. I doubt you can specify here today, but it seems like for a lot of fans, the frustration is like, well, why were we waiting in the first place? Like it was already pretty big and established and successful. Was it like seeking partners? Like what's going on with the potential New Vegas 2? Like what's the feel with moving forward with Fallout?
Well, so just as context for this interview took place over 2 years ago in June of 2024. In that time period, at this point, Todd is going to make suggestions. He's gonna kind of insinuate that there's stuff happening that's exciting. Okay. We know in the last 2 years, nothing's happened. What Todd is talking about and what he's going to make allusions to in this seems to be Fallout 76 content. Yeah. So when you hear him saying we've got exciting things coming, we think fans are going to love what we've got coming, he's answering the question about Fallout New Vegas 2 and a remake, remaster. Like, that's what the question is. But what he's talking about is Fallout 76 content until today. It seems like today is when Asha stepped in and said, no, we're going to do something like New Vegas 2 or a remaster, remake, whatever. Up until this point, there's been suggestions. Most of it came from Jordan. I think it's Jordan Midler, I believe is his name. He's a writer with VGC, or a reporter, or whatever the term would be. He made a suggestion that, as quote, as far as I'm aware, they are working on more Fallout games. And yes, the one you all are thinking of. That's what he said in a podcast with Jake and Ralph. And in that interview, there's no follow-up. Like, we don't know exactly what he was suggesting, but later reporting and rumors and leaks have suggested that there probably wasn't actually anything going on. His source was wrong or whatever. It really does seem like until today, there has been no Fallout New Vegas remake, remaster, or anything actually in production. Maybe discussed, but nothing actually happening. So as we go through this, just remember everything that Todd is going to suggest is like Fallout 76 content. So if you're thinking that he's going to like, oh, maybe he means that they were working on it internally. No, he means Fallout 76 content, and he means the Fallout 3 remake, which was also allegedly greenlit around this time period.
It's like,
or before this, but like 2 years before this, 3 years before this, it was greenlit, but it was starting like full production.
what's going on with the potential New Vegas 2? Like, what's the feel with moving forward with Fallout?
Well, look, first
That's the voice crack you guys are talking. Well, look.
agree with the...
It happens to the best of us, Todd. I get you. See, I'll do it. Hey guys. See, we all crack. We all be cracking. Okay. Some of us love crack. Moving on.
Statement that Fallout's never been more popular.
Okay.
And looking at the number of players coming to those games, obviously the popularity of the TV show. So when, we give a lot of thought to kind of franchise management. I spend a lot of time thinking about franchises I love.
And then I stop. I just think about it, and that's it. Arbo, we all love crack. We do. I think he's probably not lying when he says, I spend a lot of time thinking about franchise management, but all of this is going to build into one statement he says when I finally let him get to the point, which is going to just it's going to undo everything he's saying now. Okay, so listen to this. I'll let him talk, and then just watch as he undoes it all in a sentence.
What I've seen out there in terms of content. And so for us, it's sort of game planning out. Number one, making sure Fallout is relevant in the world. And I think, well, clearly it is. And
Check.
People are hungry for even more. We've never stopped doing, Fallout work. A lot of that work goes on, obviously, in Fallout 76. We have the Skyline Valley update out today.
Yeah.
And so really, really excited with where that game is at. Feel really fortunate, and the team so proud of the work that's been done there. And then for other Fallout games in the future, obviously I can't talk about those right now.
Oh, but there's many. Oh,
I would say sort of rushing through them, or we need to get stuff out that is different than the work we're doing in 76. We don't feel like we need to rush any of that. Right now,
take your time on the stuff
Fallout
you're totally
TV show
doing.
fills a certain niche in terms of the franchise and storytelling. Totally get the desire for a new kind of mainline single player game.
I get it. I just don't care.
And look, those things take time.
This is it. Pay attention to this. Sorry, Maddie, I'm covering your face. Hold on. Okay. Say it. He's gonna say it. Pillows, oven mitts, whatever on your hand. Get ready, okay? This has not aged well.
I don't think it's bad for people to miss things.
Right.
As well. So we just want to get it right and make.
I don't think it's bad for people to miss things. I remember talking about this when we reacted to this interview the first time 2 years ago. It's crazy. It's been 2 years, but there we go. I don't think it's bad for people to miss things. Like, that undoes pretty much everything he said. Okay. So when he says we think about franchise management, we think about timing and pacing and rhythm and keeping it relevant and all this. He's saying that at this point, as he sits in that chair, he knows that there is not a New Vegas thing in the works at that point. He knows that what Maddie is asking for, which is additional non-Fallout 76 content, was not greenlit beyond the Fallout 3 remake. And his plan was Fallout 5 in 2020 or 2035. Like that was the plan. That, like, as he sits there, that's it. And he justifies it after, a lot of fluffing and padding at the front. What effectively it is we think it's okay to miss things. And actually, I think missing things is core to Bethesda's marketing approach. The whole idea is that they release something that you like, and then they wait 15 years and then give you the sequel that excites you again, so that when it shows up, you're pumped. And you better believe when they drop the next trailer for Elder Scrolls 6, it's going to go giga viral, not GTA 6 viral, but very viral. It's going to pop off. It's going to be a very big deal. I don't personally think it's going to live up to any level of hype, but I would love to be surprised. Todd, blow me away. Somebody's going to clip that. But like, the reason I show you this is because as we discuss all of this, it's just important to remember that, like, I think if Todd had his way, it would be 20 years between Fallout projects. And we have talked for years about how Todd and people at BGS, and specifically positions of leadership within BGS, whether it's Todd or ML or any of the other senior producers or art directors, anybody, for years, they have been really weird about Fallout New Vegas. And I think honestly what it is, and the example I've given is that it gives the same energy as like older brother with younger brother, BGS being the older brother, Obsidian being the younger brother. They let Obsidian make this game. They threw it together on a tight budget. Bethesda was trying to do oversight, and apparently, who was it? I believe it was one of the writers said afterwards that that after Fallout New Vegas launched, they had a presentation where BGS leadership literally sat down with a PowerPoint presentation and went through everything they did wrong with Fallout New Vegas. Like, they actually sat them down and like lectured them about what they did poorly. Does anybody remember? We did a clip on it. We reacted to it on stream. I forget who it was specifically, but like, they actually lectured them about all of it. And then in the years after that, it was Chris Avalone. Thank you. Yes, you're right. Slice of Dread over on Twitch. Yes, it was Chris Avalone. He was talking about how they sat them down and did a presentation on what they did wrong. And in the years that have followed that, Fallout New Vegas has become the cult classic. Fallout New Vegas has become the fan favorite. And I think that drives them crazy. Because the older brother's looking at the younger brother, who's the star athlete, who has all the scholarships. And it's just like, you're only into football because I started it. You're only into that because of me, and I don't get any of the credit. I don't get any of the love. And in recent interviews, like, the reframing has started to happen where Todd will say, because when he did press tour stuff for Fallout New Vegas, or for season 2 of the show about New Vegas, because of course season 2 was set there, he was talking about how, like, people forget we helped them make that, we published that, we shared our tech, we worked with that, and now it's like trying to attach themselves to it effectively. But it's important to just understand that I think that if Todd had his way, I don't think anything New Vegas related would happen. Obsidian would not get their hands on the IP. It would stay within BGS, and it would be something where
to miss things.
You would miss it. I think that's the key point, is that Todd's okay with you missing things, especially because it means that he gets to stay in control of it. I think, like, let's be honest, Todd, that's a piece of the puzzle. I think that's part of it. And I don't blame him. If I were Todd, I'd like having control of it too, but it does get to a point where it's like, bro, 20 years between sequels is ridiculous. That's insane. Okay? That's ridiculous. So I would hope that at some point he kind of gives the keys over to be like, I'm not good to drive right now. You do it. and somebody else takes it and does a good job. And then, and maybe, Fallout New Vegas remake, remastered, sequel, whatever it is, maybe it ends up being like a solid B- or C+. And then that just liberates Todd and he's like, oh, thank God, I'm validated. Fallout 5 will hit it out of the park and will be the definitive cult classic game. But you gotta get there. You gotta get there. And I think that that's a lot easier said than done at this point. So all of this to say, it is actually happening now, it seems, for real. Again, Bloomberg is now reporting it. Bloomberg, Jason has an impeccable track record with this stuff. Doesn't report it unless it's actually typically happening. And even if something ends up being tweaked or not correct, there are corrections issued. Bloomberg is pretty serious as a publication is concerned. So this does seem to actually be real. And it does seem like Obsidian is going to be transitioned into the Fallout studio, or Fallout support studio, basically. Now, to set expectations, realistically, what does this mean? I think what this means is most likely probably a Fallout New Vegas remake. That's what I would assume. Obsidian as a studio also has a lot of experience with Unreal Engine. That's what they've used for Grounded. That's what they've used for Avowed. That's what they used for The Outer Worlds 2. They're an Unreal Engine studio. And we know that Bethesda likes using Unreal wrappers for the remakes like they did with Oblivion. So it's possible that they do something like that. I think personally, a ground up remake is probably more in line with what's needed. If you've not tried playing Fallout New Vegas recently, I'm just going to be real. It needs some love. Okay. Just being honest. And I'm saying that with love in my heart. I love New Vegas. She ugly. She ugly and she not walk right. She not talk right. She not move right. Okay. She needs some loving. She need them doctors. Okay. She needs some operations done. And I think a ground up remake is probably the better way to do that. And let's also be completely real. Okay. Be completely real. The Obsidian that made Fallout New Vegas is not the same Obsidian that's there today. Okay, a lot of the people that were there back in the day have since left, and I do think they will try to bring a lot of them back in. One thing you got to give Asha credit for is that she understands optics, and she understands that, like, this is what people want. This will excite people. She also understands that putting Josh Sawyer in charge of it is a really good symbolic move to be like, okay, no, you were in charge of that. Now you're in charge of this. That makes sense. And also symbolically having Obsidian do it is a big deal also. And that excites people. So I think that there's a good chance that she goes and tries to find original talent, writers and stuff to help with it. The nice thing is doing a remake allows them to kind of build the team up and get their feet under them, because they've not been making Fallout games this whole time. They've been making other stuff like a fantasy game. They've been working on, of course, Grounded, which is more of a live service game. Outer Worlds 2, which is more sci-fi. So getting the muscle memory back is going to take a little bit of time, but I think that they can do it. And frankly, doing a remake is harder to screw up than trying to do a straight up sequel, especially because a lot of the stuff that made Fallout New Vegas so great came from like writing and the ideation stuff and the broader directing of the game. And that is something that I'm not sure modern day Obsidian is as equipped for. But if you're just doing a straight up remake, it's again kind of hard to screw it up. You just take the dialogue and bring it forward, that and you're good. But I mean, I think it's exciting. Now, realistically, in terms of timeline, this is still years away, whatever this is. If this does end up being Fallout New Vegas remake or reimagined, whatever they call it, then I would still expect it's probably 3 to 4 years away. But I do think the new trend is going to be these tighter budgets, tighter timelines. She's going to give a lot of support to the big titled stuff that she thinks can be easy home runs. And this is one of those. So I would guess that they're going to get the money and the support and contracted labor and stuff that they need to get it done. But I also imagine that right now there's a feeling within Xbox that you need to prove yourself, okay? Phil Spencer, for years, the idea was you make what you're passionate about, and even if your game is not commercially performant, you're okay, because you're going to be subsidized by Minecraft and Call of Duty and Candy Crush. They will pay the bills so you can do the more artistically interesting stuff to you. So you don't have to worry about selling a bajillion copies. That is out the window. No longer. Your game needs to perform, and if it doesn't, you're in trouble. And Daddy Satya is going to show up with a shotgun and start clearing house. Like, I think that that's basically the vibe at this point. And I'm not saying fear is a good motivator, but I think that that's pretty clear, is that if Xbox executives are not pleased with your performance, they're not afraid of laying off huge swaths of your team. Okay. I think that that's pretty clear. Now, having said all that, I think it's one of those decisions that I think is exciting, because it's something people have been asking for a decade and a half at this point, and it's finally happening. And more than anything, I think it's less shocking that it's happening, and probably more shocking that it didn't happen 5 years ago. This was always the most straightforward layup that they could possibly do. They have Obsidian, they have the rights to Fallout. Why not put those together and get easy brownie points, a game that instantly sells millions of copies in the form of a remake? Why not? And I don't think there was a good reason. I think it's just literally that Phil didn't want to tell teams what to do and what not to do. And he wanted that creative freedom flowing, and that's noble, and I understand that, but it clearly didn't work. It's clear it's not how you run a successful gaming platform and publishing business. Didn't work out. So pretty exciting, honestly. Crazy breaking news, but there you go. It is happening. Still years away. I think it's probably more of a remake than a sequel, but time will tell, and it sounds like plans are still up in the air, so it could change any day now, but that's pretty wild. Especially, just imagine if it ends up being an Unreal Engine wrapper around the Creation Engine core, or if they just build it from the ground up entirely in Unreal Engine. No joke, you may end up with the Fallout New Vegas remake looking graphically and like performing with no load screens, looking and performing better than Fallout 5 does in 2035 if Bethesda doesn't get their act together. Like, imagine that. The remake of New Vegas ends up looking and performing better than the brand new PlayStation, Xbox, whatever crossover one. Like, I can't even imagine, man. That's ridiculous. But there you go. Phil wanted to be the fun boss. I think more and more it seems like Phil was Michael Scott. Fun guy, probably throws great parties and is a cool guy to hang out with. He's somebody you'd want to invite to a party, right? And like a mixer. But at some point, you got to look at the numbers, man, and just be like, it wasn't working, like, at all. I understand why he was doing a lot of the things that he was doing and what the concept was. But at some point, even if the captain is demanding and insisting, I know what I'm doing. We are going to go straight this direction because that's the direction we need to go. That's what the compass says. And you're like, love that, Phil. There's an island there. We can't sail through the island, Phil. We can't. And he's like, no, we can. Trust me. Sarah, right? Yes, we can. See, we can. And then he plows straight into the island. And once the ship is half crushed and is sinking, then it's like, oh, I forgot. I retire. Okay, never mind. And he leaves the boat. And then Asha shows up and is like, what is happening? I think that's basically Xbox at this point. You know, I think that's where we're at. Anyway, crazy update, but pretty exciting, I think. Pretty exciting. There you go, Jacob. Crank that clip out, baby. Crank that clip out. Now watch me whip. Then watch me crank that clip. Let me catch up on Super Chats real quick before we move forward, because we have other Bethesda-related stuff that I want to discuss. And we also just casually have modders doing what Sony could never, which is getting an actual Last of Us Part 2 multiplayer game mode completely built and modded out. Even with like matchmaking and lobbies and stuff, they've actually done it. So absolutely ridiculous. I'll share more about this in a minute. But yeah. Remember how they spent millions and millions and millions, probably hundreds of millions, working on a Last of Us online game? Well, the modders have done it for free. Because of course they have. There you go. Phil's an island boy. Yeah, he's just trying to make it. Oh, he's an island boy. Okay, where did I leave off? Nate, thank you for that 2 months. Luke, love your streams. Excited to try Resynced tomorrow. Dude, it's a vibe. It's very impressive what they've done. It's very fun. Chernobyl, thank you for that super chat. Luke, did you see the Circantoto, I think, breakdown of the $70 digital versus physical? Quite interesting info and how game sales are cut between corps. Is that like a YouTuber, Circantoto? I have not seen that, but I can pull that up in another tab. Thank you for the suggestion. I appreciate you. Or it's a website. It's an industry analyst, Dr. Serkan Toto of Kantan Games Incorporated. Okay. And it says publishers retain roughly, according to the study, roughly 54% more profit on digital sales, which explains it. That's interesting. Thank you for the suggestion. I will pull that up. The report was done back in December of 2020, but it seems like it could still be interesting. Thank you for telling me. I have that pulled up. Thank you, my friend. Not luck. Thank you for the 10. Very generous. Hey, Luke, I think my super chat might have been missed last stream or stream before last. Oh, no, I'm sorry. But I'll ask the same question. Do you think Sony taking away physical discs, we will see a large rise in pirated games? I guess technically, yes, because I think a lot of people are actually going to move over to PC. And I think that, if you care about actually owning your games, at least on PC, you can buy, you can go through like GOG, or you can find like cracked versions of games to have them backed up and preserved that way. So naturally, I think if you are somebody that really cares about actual ownership and possession of your software, PC is going to be the place that you need to go. So I think sort of indirectly, yeah, or, ex post facto, yeah, I think so, probably. But I also think even just beyond, like, not necessarily pirated, I just mean like games without DRM, platforms like GOG I think are going to become way more popular in the next few years, because they embrace and trust the audience to be like, no, you bought it, here you go. And hopefully movements like Stop Killing Games or other movements and even regulatory pressure could encourage actual software ownership and stuff like that. Which would be really, really good for all industries that do anything digital, frankly. Let's see. McGill, also, just to be clear, if I somehow missed your super chat or something and you asked a question or something, you don't need to send another one. You can just tag me in chat. I'll try to see it and, pull it up. But yeah, you don't have to send me more money. I appreciate you, though. Appreciate you. Luke, light the Todd candle. Yes, Miguel. I did. Todd is always with us, always burning bright. Last laugh. Thank you for the 5. Bless you, man. Love your content. Just joined your channel monthly. Respect from Wales, Cardiff, UK. Keep up the great work. Much love, my friend. Thank you. Much love. And glad to have you, my friend. Well, the great, thank you for that. The Resync video you posted reminds me a lot of the new God of War combat. It doesn't need you to use the in-depth stuff, which unfortunately is what pisses me off when people say the combat is basic. Well, exactly. It's why the way I phrase it is that the combat in Black Flag Resynced gives you what you give it. Like, if you just button mash, you can. It's just going to be kind of lame and you're going to be bored with the combat. But if you start using the different abilities, it's way better. Same with God of War. It's a good comparison you raised. I completely agree. Like, it gives you what you give it, it does. And I personally think it would be better if it demanded more of you and if it were more challenging and less forgiving. But I'm sure they've done testing where like the more casual audience and player doesn't like when it's more demanding, which is why a lot of games have a low floor but a high ceiling for skill, because they want as many people to be able to play it as possible. Marcus, thank you for that one. No message attached, but appreciate you. Brock, again, thank you for the very generous $30 dues. L Murphy, thank you for the 5. How much are we betting Bethesda makes another PowerPoint after the new Obsidian Fallout comes out? Yeah, Todd's like, we need to sit down. Let's talk. I want to sit down and have a conversation. Sorry. I want to have a conversation. Was that too soon? The interview was 2 years ago. I feel like it's not too soon. Let's see. RPG Veteran, thank you for the 15. Mortal Shell 2 got a release date for August for 65 Canadian and 95 Canadian for Dawnwalker. It's just too much considering it's AA. That's just me. Tainted Grail is one of the best Skyrim likes, and it's like what, 50 to 60? Tainted Grail is very good. Skyrim like is right. It really does capture that vibe. As for the Blood of Dawnwalker, I do think it's going to be interesting to see how it scales. We've only tried the first 4 hours or so of it. It's possible that when we get the final game, we're like even more impressed. And we're like, actually, no, this is like full AAA scale. I'm going into it expecting AA, but you never know. We might be surprised. But yeah, that's one of those things. If it is at the point where it's just like too much for what you think you're getting for it, you can just wait. It's probably one of those games that goes $20 off within a few months and get it then. You know, it's a great thing about sales. Just wait and chill till the sale
At
comes.
Stretched donated $30
Thank
and
you,
99 cents through
Stretched.
Super Chat. Do you think with the announcement of physical leaving and the uproar, could it potentially boost physical purchases?
Interesting question, Stretched. I do think that there's probably like I think that I think there's probably going to be an effect with player behavior. I've already seen that there's a number of people that have like canceled their online subscriptions to PlayStation Plus. They've gone and they've listed their PlayStations for sale and they're selling them secondhand and stuff like that. People moving over to PC and all of that. And even now, like this is what's crazy. PlayStation is still, even like a week later, they are still regularly getting ratioed and community noted on all of their posts. This is a random post about Elder Scrolls Online. There's a proposed community note that just says if buying isn't toning, then pirating isn't stealing. That's it. And this has 745 likes, 6,000 comments. I'll let you guess what those comments are about. Same with this Apex Legends and Cyberpunk event. 1.5K likes, 8.8 thousand comments, all about them taking away discs. Same with this action RPG Mortal Shell 2 arrives PS5 August 20th. Community note, purchase warning. Purchase warning. Sony's sudden pivot to digital without informing partners, its poor digital ecosystem in pivotal markets, and desperation to erase retail and resale and executive selling off stock suggest massive corporate instability. This content may not last long. Same thing, like 2,000 likes, 9,800 comments, all roasting them. And there's even more like this one. This was the first one they made after it, where you can see like, what's life like for Half Vampire? 4,500 likes, because it's a good post about Blood of Dawnwalker. And if you're a fan of the game, you probably like it. But 18,000 comments. You're not getting away with this one so easily, Sony. New tales about this ratio. What life's like for gamers who can't buy physical games. Address me. Go have yourself. Impressive, very nice. Let's see the comments. So like this does not seem to be, which I think they thought this would just blow over. They'd announce it, some of the hardcore guys would be like pissed about it for a day or two and then move on. I really think that they just fundamentally misunderstood the moment. And I think a lot of it too, honestly, if they did this like 2 years ago or waited a year when costs for hardware dropped or something, I don't think the reaction would be this visceral, but this is coming at the exact moment where gamers are just overall fed up and pissed about everything going on. And then you drop this news. It's just so fundamentally out of touch with their own audience. It's shocking. It's shocking. And to think that at one time Sony was seen as like the company that was actually listening to feedback and listening to the audience, especially back with like the Xbox One launch and directly countering everything that Microsoft was doing. It's amazing. It is a totally different leadership, totally different team, and they do not care. They do not care. And they're just trying to brute force their way through it. They're like, oh, no, you're going to like it. Sucks to suck. You're going to like it. It's stunning. So do I think, to directly answer your question, do I think that like people are going to buy more physical games now? Probably not on PlayStation, tell you what, but I think that you will start to see player behaviors shifting. I think you probably see people moving over to PC. If Xbox is paying attention, which I do think Asha is usually pretty good about this. One of the primary complaints actually and critiques of her from even like Microsoft investors has been that she is too tuned in to like Twitter drama and Instagram drama and TikTok drama. She's too aware of what the community is saying. So if she is hyper aware of this and she knows how badly this went for PlayStation, I would not be surprised if she's having meetings right now being like, what can we do to preserve physical media? Because the reporting is that Project Helix wasn't going to have a disk drive, wasn't going to do anything with physical. They were going to allow for digitizing your physical library. I think the reporting suggested that since the Xbox One generation, covertly, every physical copy of an Xbox game has had a unique identifier that Microsoft has track of. So you would be able to put your disc into your Project Helix or your Xbox One, add it to, or Xbox Series console, add it to your Microsoft account, and then you could still play it even if your console doesn't have a digital disc or a disk drive or the physical copy plugged in. So it seems like they're at the very least experimenting with other solutions. But I think if Asha's paying attention, they could actually come and clock Sony upside the head. Like, I think they actually could. It's possible. It's possible. Time will tell. But you better believe that I think Asha is paying attention to this mighty closely because she's looking for any sort of brownie points, any easy W. This is the easiest W of all. Just say, hey, gamers, we've decided not to piss in your mouth. You're welcome. Like, really, you don't have to do that much. You just have to not be the dumbass and you can win. Like, it's really not that complicated, but we'll see. I do think that there's going to most likely be player behavior shifts. Xbox, I think, should take their stance pretty quickly to, like, I think establish their positioning if they are going to take the route of basically what PS4 was to the Xbox One. If they want to go into the PlayStation 6 but just flip that, and they are the anti-Sony, they are the anti-PlayStation, I think that's actually a pretty compelling argument, frankly. The fact that PlayStation is getting horribly ratioed in every post on social media right now is stunning. It's stunning. Even now, as I was scrolling, I wonder if I can find one. As I was scrolling earlier, I saw multiple posts that were just people saying, I hear if you say F Sony or F PlayStation, you get like 1,000 likes. Let me try it. And then the post has 50,000 likes. I mean, there is a major brand crisis right now that I'd be shocked if PlayStation isn't at least paying attention to, but they might be totally checked out. You never know. You never know. They might be totally checked out, just ignoring it. I wouldn't be surprised. Maddie responding to this, they actually thought we'd move on. 8,000 likes. This one, 11K likes, 65,000 comments. 65,000 comments. I know your PR strategy for over 20 years has been to sit it out and ignore the noise, but something tells me that won't work this time. Reverse the diskless decision. I'll just stop reading there. Address me. Please continue to produce physical discs for PlayStation or offer some kind of solution for fans of physical PlayStation game collections. Thought you gave up on physical products. It's not great. Yeah, the whole thing is on launching another physical product. Man, it's baffling. So I think Sony fundamentally miscalculated this. I think they thought people would just move on and wouldn't be that upset about it. And the ones that would just get bored and stop talking about it. It's been a catastrophic mistake. And I think that they will probably not reverse it. Frankly, it sounds like they've already started to like fundamentally change how their manufacturing pipeline works. They've already overhauled and ordered equipment for that factory that builds out a lot of this stuff. I believe their disc factory, the biggest one, is in Austria, and they've already started to overhaul it. So I don't think PlayStation's changing their mind, but this is why this uproar, I think, has less of an impact on PlayStation and potentially more of an impact on like Nintendo and Xbox, because I think Nintendo's looking at this being like, okay, maybe we don't try to do that. Same with Xbox. This is the easiest W they could possibly get, is if they just don't do this. Just don't do that. Like, literally, it's amazing because it's just the Xbox One generation all over again, but reversed. All Xbox has to do is whatever Sony does, do the opposite. And they'll probably win. Because right now, There's not a single person that's hyped. Like, you know the feeling of a generational launch? Typically, the launch of a next generation of hardware is exciting. It's thrilling. It's filled with hope and expectancy. And you want to know, what is this going to unlock in terms of possibilities? What games are going to be possible on this new hardware that weren't possible before? It's excitement. But right now, it's dread. Right now, it's, I can't wait to see how much they try to charge for it. I can't wait to see how they're going to launch it and then force you to buy everything digital. I can't wait for it to not come with a controller in the box and they'll force you to buy a separate one for $100. I can't wait for them to try to push first-party narrative games for $80. Like, that's where we're at. It's just dread. And if they can find a way, they being either PlayStation or Xbox or whoever, if they can find a way to capture excitement, I think it'll be such a clear contrast to the competition that it'll be an easy dub, but it's going to be tough. No controller, dude. You think I'm being unrealistic? I told you guys in the lead up to the Steam machine that it's one of the easiest ways for these companies to shave off like $100 or $80 off the tagline price is by selling the base model with no controller. And that's what they do, because $1049 doesn't look great, but it does look better than $1128 with a controller. So you just do that, shave off a little, makes it look a little better. I would not be surprised at all if, when they announce the PlayStation 6, if the base model supports the DualSense. And there's going to be like, you know, a slight tweak to the PlayStation 6 controller design. But I would not be surprised if the base model of the PlayStation 6 doesn't come with a controller. I would not be surprised at all. They're just doing the like Apple thing. Apple takes charging bricks out. They take out these cables. They take out the headphones. They start whittling it down slowly until there's like nothing but the bare bones basics of the phone, and that's it in the box, to widen the margins. Like that's who they're looking at. And you can get away with that if all the competition's doing it together. But if somebody comes along and is like, no, we're not going to do that, we're going to take another route, things could be different. Things could be very, very different. The base model having no internal storage. I wouldn't be surprised also if they launch and it's like 256 gigs. And it's like, no, if you want more storage to like have more than one game or two games installed, you need to install an SSD that we also conveniently sell for an ungodly amount of money. So yeah. Bring your own RAM. Exactly. Where did I leave off? Last laugh. Think of the two. Love your content. Playing Black Flag tomorrow. Hell yeah. You're going to have a good time. I can't read. Triple M Key, I think. Thank you for that. Super chat. Did you fix? I can't read. Fix Nikki's computer yet? Well, it's in the works because the power supply that we have is, I think, a lemon. That or... well, it's not underpowered because it's like an 800 watt one. She's keeping her 3080, but we're updating like motherboard, RAM, CPU, the AIO, all the fans. We're keeping the case the same. It's a Y60 case. But I got everything like done. But the power supply, the new power supply, it just doesn't like post. I forget what the error code is that shows on the motherboard, but it's a RAM like voltage issue. And the most common thing, according to Google, is that is a power issue. I'm praying the RAM isn't bad because I bought the RAM like a year ago. And I would be quite upset if I had to buy more. So we'll see. But I think it's just a PSU issue. So we're going to swap that. We have that ordered and hopefully it's just swap it out and everything works. But yeah, we are in the process. Yes, it's... I really hope it's the PSU. A power supply is a lot easier to replace than finding more RAM. Just RMA the RAM. Well, I think it was it Luis? I forget his name. There's a YouTuber who had an NVMe SSD from Samsung that went bad. This RAM isn't from Samsung, but I'm worried it's going to be a similar thing. Like, because what he had is the NVMe SSD went bad. he sent it to Samsung and said, hey, this is bad. I want a replacement. Or you refund me the money according to the market rate so I can go buy another one. And Samsung refused to do it, said, we'll pay you what you paid back then, give you store credit basically. But we're not going to replace the SSD for you, which is not what their policy states. Because basically what it is he bought it and it was like $200. Now to replace it is going to cost Samsung $900. So they don't want to do it. It was Louis Roseman. Yeah. Okay. I thought so. And so they said it's out of stock. We can't send you a replacement. And he looks it up and it is not out of stock. They have them. They just don't want to send it to him. So he's like filing a lawsuit over it because it's pretty clear what's happening. But I'm concerned. I'm hoping it's just the PSU, but if it's not the PSU and if it is the RAM, I will have to do the RMA thing. And I'm worried it's going to run into the same thing where it's like, you bought this RAM for $180. Now it's like $800. No, we won't replace it. Like I'm hoping that's not what happens, but hopefully it's just the power supply. That's what I'm hoping for. Hopefully it's just the power supply. We'll see. We'll see. Let's see. Carl Fraha, thank you for the 40 months. 40 months is insanity. Man, gaming is in a weird and pretty bleak place right now. Also, I am officially done with uni. Congratulations, my friend. I graduated in November. Hurrah. That's fantastic. Congratulations, my friend. And yes, 40 months is crazy. That is crazy. It's wild. It's wild. What's wrong with the PSU? I am not qualified to to guess. All I know is that the error codes that are spitting out on the motherboard say that it is typically a voltage issue, and usually the first thing to try is just swapping a power supply. I'm hoping that's all it is, but we'll see. We'll see. Like, I think, I mean, I'd be speculating as to what exactly it is, but I've had bad luck with power supplies in the past too. I had another computer die because the power supply went out. I don't know if I just have the magic touch. I've been told that Colorado has very dirty electricity. So that maybe that's part of it. We have a lot of power surges. It's a bit of an issue. Marcus, thank you for that. I thought they didn't cancel any projects. Lies. Well, when they did the shutdown, they hadn't. And then the email came in today that the project is canceled. So I think that's how they get away with it. But yeah, no, they're canceling, it seems, Avowed and whatever incubation projects they had, and they're just going to be put on Fallout. Like, that's the big thing. I have the reverse Midas touch. It seems like it. Seems like it. Yeah. It's a common thing in Colorado for electronics to just not work one day. And usually people are like, I don't know why it just died. Usually it's because there were like power surges that fried your components. And it's why in Colorado, if you live in Colorado, I think it's Colorado and Florida have both really dirty power. Invest in good surge protectors. And remember that surge protectors do not last forever. You got to replace them every few years. That's at least what an electrical engineer friend of mine told me. Maybe he was trolling me, but I believed him. I trust him with my life. RPG veteran, thank you for the 10 months. 10 months is wrong. I've been watching since I was a toddler. Toddler from Elder Scrolls 6. I hope Todd's in the game. That'd be really cool. That'd be really cool. UPS battery is better. Yeah, that's what I have for my setup, but a lot of people, UPS batteries are kind of overkill, but yeah, UPS is better. Glooping, thank you for that too. Do you think this will get us a Fallout before 2035? Yes, I'm still guessing it's probably like 3 years away, probably like late 2020s, probably 2029, 2028 would be my guess. Probably at stock in surge protectors. Yeah, I'm invested pretty heavily in big surge protectors. Yeah, that's where I put a lot of my money. ZG Tanks, thank you for the 10. Very generous. With Sony killing physical games, has anyone fired up an old console, hooked my PS2 up and loving putting the disc in and watching how it works? Now I'm checking out my local stores for new, quote unquote, new games. Yeah, no, I do think that there might be an influx of people realizing how important it is to collect physical media. That's at least I think would be good. But we'll see. It's always tough to figure out how much of this stuff is just our bubble versus the broader industry. Like, does the average Joe Schmo care about this, or do they just totally not care at all? I don't know. I think Sony is really relying on the average person not caring and the diehards getting over it. That seems to be what their strategy is right now. We'll see. We'll see. Brian, thank you for that 5. When your boss goes around you to get something done, job security is in jeopardy, especially during a restructure. Could it be the end for Todd? No, I think they realize that Todd, I mean, he's probably the most famous developer. Honestly, he's probably the most famous person that they have at like all of Xbox. Is there another person within Xbox that has more like name recognition, more like respect within the industry? I'm not sure. Because like Kojima is up there, but Kojima is like, he's doing a game for them, but he's not within their structure, right? Todd is within the company, and he's the guy. So I don't think they could get rid of Todd even if they wanted to, you know. Spies, thank you for that 5. Got to be honest, I would love an Avowed 2, but I understand new Fallout installment would be great, but I don't want Avowed abandoned completely. Well, and they say that they're going to chill, and they're going to let them, or some people, continue working on the sequel until they get moved to another project officially, and then at that point they're hoping that they can maybe get back to Avowed one day, but we'll see. The thing is, like, again, you don't have the privilege, or you don't have the means to experiment with stuff that's less of a slam dunk when you're just trying not to drown. Like, basically what Obsidian and what a lot of like Xbox studios have been doing is they're knitting beautiful little decorative hats, okay, to put on collectible action figures in their offices. They're knitting, but they're doing that while in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean with sharks around. And they're all fully clothed, and there's not really any help in sight. And the life raft is like 100 yards that way. But they've chosen to sit and knit. And it seems like Asha's coming in and is like, why did Phil tell you to knit in the middle of the ocean? This isn't really the time. We need to focus on like what's going to keep us afloat and alive, which is the raft. So let's go get the raft. And once we're on the raft and we're safe and secure, then we can knit our decorative hats. But let's do that first. Know what I mean? Know what I mean? It's a stretch of an analogy, I'll give you that, but hopefully it demonstrates the point. Miles Joubert Robinson, thank you for the 29 months. Oh, baby, thank you. Watched your Arkham Collection critique video yesterday. Good stuff. Hit all the right points. The Batmobile kind of killed it for me. Please make more critique videos. Yes, I do want to make more. Our last big one was on Mafia: The Old Country. It's like 2.5 hours long. But we did that at the end of last year. I want to do more for sure. So it's just about like picking the game that we can sink our teeth into. Historically, like it's the easiest ones are to double down on like BGS, Naughty Dog, CDPR. I mean, Santa Monica, like any of those big studios that make games that are really solid and like discussable are the ones I'm usually able to focus on. It's just a lot of those studios are in the middle of development right now and are taking a while. So we'll get there. I do have some stuff in the pipeline. It's just takes time. But thank you for watching that, my friend. Whoops, I scrolled too far. I scrolled way too far. Oh my god. Okay, there we go. Jacob, thank you for that 5. Lock Todd in a room full of candles and cutouts and get the answers, Luke. I'll try my best. See if they'll let me anywhere close to him. I wouldn't be surprised if I actually have if I'm on a list or something. Let's see. Chevy, thank you for the 5. Microsoft, quote, it's okay if your game does sell gangbusters. Tango Gameworks, am I a joke to you? Well, and just to be clear, what really sucks for Xbox employees right now is that under the previous management, the rules were different. Under the previous management, you could make something more artsy fartsy that didn't sell very well, and you were okay. You were told you can do that and you will not be punished for your game not selling super well. And then Phil leaves as the ship is sinking. The new people come in and are like, okay, no, this doesn't work. If you're making stuff that isn't selling, you're gone. We don't need you anymore. And so they did what they were supposed to do. They didn't do anything wrong. They did and followed the rules that were laid out for them. And then they get punished for it. And that sucks. That just sucks. There's no other way to put it. It sucks. Like, understand why maybe they're needing to choose strategically which teams to invest more in and where to put money and put their chips. But it still just sucks. Because they didn't do anything wrong. It's just that they happen to be making the wrong kind of games for the next round of leadership, you know? Let's see. Real serious. Thank you for that one. Next Game Awards, quote, you were all waiting for it. And here it is, a new world premiere from the team over at Obsidian. Here's our first look at Fallout 77. Don't even start with me. Don't even start. Todd's like, guys, I have an idea. I have an idea for what you guys could work on next. Really, I think this is going to excite fans. They're going to love it. They're going to love it. And after you launch it, I've got a PowerPoint presentation to show you. Can you imagine if that's what they did? It's like another live show. Dude, I'd crash out. I'd crash out so hard. Double Fine literally pitched Keeper as the most unpitchable idea to pitch. If they don't think it was going to bite, if they didn't think it was going to bite their ass in the future, I don't feel sorry for them. Well, I think, like, it's also their job at like Double Fine or at Obsidian or wherever. Their job is to just make the games that they're excited about. And then it's usually up to like the green lighting process to say what game will work for the strategy of the company. And the strategy of Xbox while Phil was there was just fill out the like portfolio. And that's what they did. Problem is they filled it out with stuff that people didn't really connect with and that people didn't really love and that didn't convert to subscriptions, which is a problem. And then Phil leaves, the new people come in and they're trying to salvage it, but it's just not working. Miles, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships, my friend. That's super generous. Welcome everybody who just got a membership, by the way. Welcome. And now that you're members, same with Twitch subs as well. Thank you, Mark. Mars, maybe? Thank you for the sub over on Twitch. Now that you guys are subs/members, you get access to the members only content. We've got videos and exclusive stuff just for you guys that's available on the members tab or in the Discord. Okay, check it out if you haven't already. Much love. Also, thank you over on Twitch to J-Dubs for the sub as well, my friend. Appreciate you. Real quick, almost there, guys. Then I want to talk about this. I read that one from Stretchid. Thank you for that. And then Christopher Burnett, thank you for the 5. Sony comes at me hard with dynamic pricing and offers me crazy high discounts on games all the time, and I never buy them since I own them on discs. Well, that's the other thing, is that the dynamic pricing that Sony's been experimenting with, this is something that like isn't really talked about, but they track all of your buying behaviors, all of your spending habits, all of that. And so if they start to notice that you as a player are more okay with buying games at full price, they have the ability. It's questionable as to whether or not it's legal in a lot of countries, because it probably isn't in many countries, but they have the technology and patents to be able to change the pricing of products dynamically based on your previous spending habits. So if you are willing to buy games at full price, there is a situation where in like 5 years, they just don't ever put anything on sale for you. But if they notice that somebody else will spend money if it goes on 20% off on a Friday afternoon, they can price that specifically to take advantage of your particular buying habit. Same thing if they're like, hey, this guy gets home from work, he seems to have dinner, have a few drinks. By 10 p.m., he starts spending a lot of money. It's weird. It's almost like the drink is hitting him and he gets irrational and irresponsible. So how about we kickstart a breaking news sale at 9 p.m. for him? And there's like a little pop-up that gets him. They have the technology to do that and to track that. Like I said, in a lot of countries, I don't think that's legal. As far as I'm aware, there has not been a major lawsuit associated with it. When companies have been caught trying that, they go, "Oh no, we're sorry. Oh no, we're sorry. It was an accident. We were experimenting and the tech leaked into a public build or something." But it's like, sure. But I wouldn't be surprised if companies start to try and push and experiment with that stuff more as time goes by, because they have the data. And if they can get you to spend more money, they're going to do it. That's spying. What would they call it? They wouldn't call it spying. They'd call it, we're analyzing your spending behavior to empower you with better deals. That's what they would say. Lots of weird stuff like that. Dynamic pricing for restaurants is something that shouldn't exist either. Yeah, dynamic pricing there. We also had it in a different form when I worked at Best Buy, where if you could find a 6-foot HDMI cable. That 6-foot HDMI cable came in 2 packagings, one in just a clear plastic bag and then another in a paper box. Same exact cable, just packaged 2 different ways. So it had 2 different SKUs associated with it. The cost difference between the packaging is negligible. I mean, it's a paper box versus a plastic bag. I mean, it costs nothing to manufacture. But they were placed at different places in the store. The HDMI cable in the box was put by the TVs. The one in the bag was put by the computer section next to computer accessories. The one in the computer section cost like, what, $6 or something like that. The one by the TVs was $20. And they did that because they knew that if you were spending $3,000 on a TV, tossing in the $20 cable, you don't think about it too much. You just toss it in the bin. But the one in the computer section, you're probably going specifically in there to get an accessory for your laptop for a work presentation or something. And so you're more price sensitive, so they have it lower. Things like that. There's a lot of sneaky stuff like that happens all the time, and you probably don't even realize. Like a box of candy that costs more if you get it from the candy aisle as opposed to next to the cash register. Things like that, you know, it's kind of crazy how much stuff like that happens all the time, and you probably don't even realize it. It's wild. Mizuki, thank you for the very generous 12. Thank you. I honestly, not much has happened as of yet though, right? You've said yourself, X is not real. The blowback has not yet cost them anything. We can only really tell after the launch of a new console. Yes. So as of right now, there's no direct, I mean, other than like brand damage, you could, I guess, quantify that, but there's nothing that's like directly affected their bottom line in any tangible way. And that's why they announced it now instead of a month out from the PlayStation 6 launch. They're hoping that in a year and a half, when they launch the PlayStation 6, that nobody is thinking of this. It's just, oh yeah, no, they announced that a while back. I remember being really upset about it. That's what they want to happen. They just want it to be like a memory, you know? But I do think you're right. There's nothing really tangible that has punished them, quote unquote. But they're just hoping it blows over. That's kind of the strategy. The strategy is what they're doing. Real quick, to blast through a couple of these points and talking points. These are just little things I thought were interesting that I figured I would point out. Apparently there is a Crimson Desert port working, and that's in development for the Switch 2. How that's possible, I have no idea, but apparently it's possible and they are working on it. A new Crimson Desert roadmap update shows there's plenty of life left in it, and it could get another huge bump with a Switch 2 port, which is absolutely wild, but that is what they apparently are working on. They're also working on stuff like cross save to be able to play across devices. They're also working on new gameplay and like combat content. Damien and Unka gameplay improvements, quality of life improvements, all sorts of stuff like that. But they're continuing to update it and overhaul it. And they are working on a DLC that should also be coming at some point, which is kind of exciting. One of the things I also wanted to point out, this is slightly separate, okay? Slightly separate, okay? New mini segment thing. A story started going around today that started to go viral because it fits really well with the narrative of everything else that's happening right now, specifically with PlayStation, okay? But I have to come in here and be a bit of a party pooper and kind of, I don't know if debunking it is the right term, because that just feels like that doesn't feel right. But basically, to set this up, of course, we all know the PlayStation update hits. PlayStation announces they're getting rid of physical media, and in the days since, they have gotten horribly ratioed in pretty much every post that they've put up. 65,000 comments to 11,000 likes. The next one, actually community noted against this. 7,000 likes, 23,000 comments. 18,000 comments on this one to 4,000 likes. These have nothing to do with digital versus physical media. It's just they're getting ratioed, or this is a repost, so I guess it doesn't really count. This one is their official post. 2,000 likes, 10,000 comments. Like, they're getting ratioed everywhere. And it's because this announcement of getting rid of physical discs has not been received positively. Let's put it this way. And then this article went up and people started running with it because, again, it fits the narrative really well that this was a huge blunder. Sony CEO sells over half of his stock following PlayStation disc announcement. The way the article is framed is that because these two things are put in the title, that therefore one followed from the other. Sony sells over half of its stock following the disc announcement, but they are technically two separate things, okay? According to an SEC filing, Hiroki Totoki, who is the CEO, he came in and sold 225,000 shares of his Sony stock on July 3rd at $21.02 per share, pulling in roughly 4.7 million. And this is being framed as he expects the company to go down and he's worried, blah, blah, blah. But I do just have to say that this type of thing is actually quite normal. And according to SEC guidelines, like, you have to do this in a very particular way if you're CEO of a company. There's a really fun rule that rolls off the tongue, Rule 10b5-1, that is specifically written to counteract insider trading from executives. So like, if you're a CEO and you know that your company is about to announce that they just lost $50 billion. We put it in cash and we just lost it. We don't know where it went. But you know you're about to announce that, and that's going to cause the stock to plummet. They can't, or they want to prevent you as CEO from selling all of your stock the day before that happens, right? So there are rules that the SEC has put in place to prevent that, where executives have to, and family members of executives and the like, they have to pre-announce and plan out their liquidation of stock. There's also rules, for example, that like you can't sell, I believe the rule is like 1%, more than 1% of your stock within a certain time period, or 1% of the total stock within a certain time period. So like if Elon Musk owns 15% of a company, he can't sell 5% of the company in one day, because that would destabilize the entire market. You can't dump all of that on the market at once. So there's a lot of rules within this, but these rules generally require disclosures well in advance. Usually these things are planned out a quarter to 2 quarters well ahead of time, so that there's no issues with insider trading or something like this. So the framing that like Hiroki Totoki saw them announce the physical media, went, oh crap, this is going poorly, and decided to sell his stock, that's not accurate. He disclosed that he was going to do this months and months ago, because he has to. Okay. So, and honestly, I think PlayStation, I don't think they thought this would go over this poorly. I think they were pretty clearly, they've been caught on the back foot. They didn't expect this to become such a freaking disaster. Okay. Like they did not expect this to go over this poorly. I think that they thought they'd announce it and that people would be like, oh, okay, well, never mind. That sucks, but moving on. Like, I really don't think that they thought this would go over that poorly. I think they were like genuinely shocked by it. But you can see here the actual SEC file. You can see that they have to actually put in information about who they are, about their name, where they live. They have to file all of this. If your company is traded on the like US stock exchanges, you have to do all of that. Reporting roughly how much money you expect to make based on what conversion rates, what price you're going to be selling it at, and all that. Like, you have to disclose all of this to prevent insider trading, and that's how it works. So I hate to be the buzzkill, but this is not directly correlated to the announcement of ending physical media. He announced that he was going to sell it. I think more than likely it's because he's in his like late 60s and he's preparing to retire, and so he's liquidating some of his stock before he does that. It's fairly common for executives that are prepping for retirement. And it would not shock me if Hiroki Totoki ends up retiring before the launch of the PlayStation 6 anyways. So it wouldn't shock me if he liquidates a lot of his stock before then. So there you go. Lol, the US government is so well known for no insider trading. Well, they don't like insider trading if you are a member of the company, but if you are a politician, whatever. What? That's fine. What are you talking about? No, that's fine. So yeah, I think it was announced well in advance, but it's still just a funny coincidence, if nothing else. If nothing else. Insider trading is the norm in Congress, dude. Even like congressmen and women will acknowledge, yeah, no, it's super common. Everybody does it. Like, they meet with some executive, the executive says it and acknowledges that that's what's happening, and then nobody does anything about it because everybody's getting rich from it, so they just move on. Like it's really stupid. Everybody knows it's a problem, but nobody wants to do anything about it. That's just how it is. Just how it is. Okay, how long was he CEO? So Hiroki Totoki, just to be clear, he is this guy. He's the one, or he's 61. He's the one that he was CFO. He came in and he's the one that did the comprehensive review of PlayStation. And when he did that and he identified that PlayStation was at, I believe it was 6% margins. Remember Sony announced, or Xbox announced they were at 3. He discovered PlayStation was at 6, and that was bad enough that they canceled a bajillion projects. They shut down a bunch of studios, and Jim Ryan happened to retire very shortly after he did his review of the PlayStation business. So he did that as CFO. He then becomes CEO, and the rest is kind of history. But it's been a few years that he's been in position. But yeah, he's the one that kind of came in and was like, Jim, what the hell are you doing? But for some reason leaves Herman to stay in charge. I don't know how that works. Don't understand that. I will say, if anybody is out there watching this stream and has knowledge or information about Horizon Hunters Gathering, and you'd like to speak to me anonymously, I will listen and keep you anonymous. I have heard some stuff that has blown my mind. Okay? And I would just like confirmation on it. That's all I need. Okay? That's all I need. Because if what I've been told is true about Hunter's Gathering, I'm not sure that Herman is long for his role. Okay. I think this might actually be like the final nail in the coffin. Yeah, it has blown my mind. Yeah, it sounds to me, I'll keep it vague until I get confirmation, because like I said, I don't like to say stuff until I've heard it from multiple people so that I can be sure that it's real. But from what I've heard through the grapevine, Horizon Hunters Gathering is in pretty serious trouble. Like it's not in a good spot, like at all. And even some of the stuff that's happening behind the scenes at Guerrilla is pretty seismic and kind of a big deal. So, well, if anybody out there wants to just chat and share their perspective, I would love to hear it. I'd love to hear it. Matthew, thank you for the 10. Very generous. It sucks that every game will effectively be full price now. Even during the depths of the 2008 recession when my dad was unemployed for 18 months, my brother and I still got new games every so often. Yeah, dude, and that's the thing, is that there's just no protection against that kind of thing. Other than like maybe key resellers like G2A or Kinguin or something like that. They, I guess, will offer an alternative, but do we really think Sony is going to allow that to keep going? Like once all of their cards or all of their eggs are in the basket of digital media, I wouldn't be surprised if they crack down on digital distribution even more. And like they go after the key resellers and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Yeah. Hashtag the Concord tax. At this point, I think it's beyond all that. Like there, no joke, may end up being a Hunter's Gathering tax before long. I don't think people realize how much money has been spent on that and how not in a good spot it is. Like I can't stress enough. Like they're in a pickle. They're in a pickle. And it seems like Herman has put even more, like he stood behind Concord pretty hard, but it seems like, and this, again, I would love to hear confirmation of this from other people. It appears like a lot of the blame for Concord was passed off to Jim Ryan. And that was seen as, at least internally to Sony executives, that was framed as basically Jim Ryan's baby. Hunter's Gathering is fully Herman's baby. And he's put himself fully behind it. So if that goes poorly, I don't think it takes a genius to figure out what happens. You know, if you tie yourself and do that like climate activist thing where like you put your hand on the side of the ship and then you put concrete over it and like epoxy resin, and it seals your hand to it. And then you start sinking the ship. It doesn't take a genius to figure out where you're going. Like, you're going down with it, you know? It will go poorly. Exactly. Real quick. I want to show you guys this. Where's a good spot to go? I thought this was funny. I'll just show you this. I thought this was funny. Emil posted this. I don't know if he's the original creator, but this is basically what happened. The way I saw it was reposted, and it was if Insomniac made GTA 5's cutscenes.
Can I come in your house?
You can't come in my house.
Well, guess what? I don't like your haircut. And also, I hope you don't get a girlfriend and you fall on a rock.
That wasn't nice of you.
Also, you need to hop on Fortnite when you get inside. Also, add me. Not nice friend.
Okay, bye, friend.
Can I come in your
Yeah,
house?
it shows why dialogue's important. You know, all the key things are being communicated, sure. But when you kind of lose sight of the dialogue and dialect, I guess, it kind of kills the scene a little bit. Just a little bit. Hey, you don't have a nice haircut.
Come in your house?
You can't come in my house.
Well, guess what? I don't like your haircut. And also, I hope you don't get a girlfriend. And you
I also hope you don't get a girlfriend. Dude, it's straight up homeschooled, middle school aged, like, banter. I hope you don't get a girlfriend and you have a not good haircut. Boom. Boom. Got him. Roasted. Bam. Also this, I just want to show you this. This is crazy. So if you don't know, there is a modding team out there that has been working on giving fans of The Last of Us multiplayer what they actually like initially really wanted, which was not a full-blown live service, you know, like Destiny/Marathon meets Last of Us. They wanted just the factions mode, but for The Last of Us Part 2. And there is a modding team, and you can follow a lot of this from the Twitter account Speclizer, I think is how he goes. But he has done a lot of modding within like The Last of Us specifically, does a lot of work on it, but specifically also has like a YouTube channel and all that. But he has built out, and he and the team has built out a mod where you straight up can just play The Last of Us Part 2 multiplayer. They've added in like different maps. They've added in, I believe, matchmaking at this point. The full movement set is supported. Like what? It looks like the gore system is supported too. Bro. Like, this is something done by a team that's working for free. Okay, they're working for free. I think he does technically have a Patreon, to be clear, but like they're not charging $30 for this, is what I mean. And they've been working on this for a long time. You can follow the updates on it. Here's like an example. They updated the main menu. They actually have like a main menu built out for it. Gear up map selection. They have lobby systems put in place where you can track with a scoreboard. Remember when Battlefield launched and it didn't even have a scoreboard when it launched? Do you remember that? That's a throwback. But you can see it like another massive progress update for The Last of Us 2 multiplayer mode, custom UI, built-in engine, massive improvements to the netcode, completely custom multiplayer main menu with matchmaking, loadout system, and a few other things like listen mode and marking as well. If you're interested in watching 25 minutes worth of gameplay, watch the new video. He's got this on his YouTube channel so that you can see it. In development since January of 26, planned release for September of 26. And they've actually built this out, dude. Like, and this is why I've always gotten like I've gotten straight up pissed, okay? There's no nice way of saying it. Straight up pissed that this type of thing has just been abandoned in the industry. Like we used to get with a lot of these games, whether you look at like The Last of Us with the original, we got a multiplayer mode, factions that came with it. They didn't charge you extra. They didn't load it full of live service crap or battle passes every 5 seconds. Like they didn't need to do that. It was just like a perk. It was just an extra feature, you know? And if anything else, it also did great work for keeping the game kind of present in people's minds. Because if you really loved the combat of a game, you could continue enjoying the combat in the game for years after it launched, which kept those fandoms alive. The diehard fans still could go back and play together and share that experience. They didn't need battle passes. They didn't need annual updates. The player counts were never insane, but it was enough, you know? And it was just something that they did to keep the game alive. And that's something that, again, whether you look at The Last of Us or even like Black Flag Resynced is launching tomorrow. Black Flag is another example of one of those games from that era where they had multiplayer modes all the time. Like those old school Assassin's Creed games had multiplayer modes all the time. They were different. They were kind of weird, but they did it. And that's just been totally abandoned nowadays because executives don't want this. They don't want something fun that's a free perk for fans. They want Fortnite. They want Destiny 2. They want, I guess more like Marathon nowadays, but you get what I mean. Like they want Overwatch. They want something like that. They want the big, gigantic behemoth of a game, not one that's just like a fun, free update. But I think that this is a reminder of how a lot of this can be done with some talented devs working for, in this case, he's going to have put like 9 months of work into this to get it done. And yeah, it's not on the scale or level of polish that they'd probably want if it was coming directly from Naughty Dog. But I mean, Naughty Dog puts 10 people on it, 20 people on it. They could probably get there, you know, fairly easily. It just is another reminder of how, I think it's kind of jarring, how much the output seemingly has dropped in the last handful of years, where it just feels like studios now, looks like me shooting. That's my aim with a controller. I tell you what, it just goes to show you, like, I feel like output has plummeted with so much of this stuff. Like there are some brilliant people out there, brilliant devs out there. And if you give them the chance to do something awesome like this, they can, and they will. You just have to, like, you got to give them the opportunity and allow them to. Look at this. They also even have like the dense maps. It's like even in Seattle, this one with all the foliage, all the lighting is supported, all that. Look at that. This is crazy. Okay, a little network instability. Not the end of the world. Listen mode is supported. Like, and again, this is somebody working for free. If they dropped this as an update for The Last of Us Part 2, dude, I'd play it. I'd get my friends on. We'd play this together. I think it'd be a blast. Oh, God. How cool is that? It's just wild. You could also do like stealth matches where, you know, it's basically one-shot kills and it's just really slow, steady, and methodical. You could do it with like 8 players in a map. And like, honestly, this is all they really needed to do with The Last of Us Online. It sounds like what they were going to do was way more elaborate and honestly probably going to be even cooler with like a big dedicated map, story components, and all that. But that grew out of what was this, effectively an original idea just to basically make the factions mode, but in The Last of Us Part 2. And then it just never happened because they were chasing the big buku bucks money. And when that didn't work out, and like it ended up going nowhere, they canceled it, and it's probably never going to see the light of day, which is just tragic. But anyway, there you go. If you want to follow it more closely, again, check out Spec over on X. You can follow the page and follow the info and everything that they're doing there, because there's a lot of pretty crazy improvements and progress being made, and they're on track apparently for a September launch of that mod, which is crazy. So go check it out if you have not already. Is this one gonna be a dad? I think so. I think it's gonna be a dad. I think so. Real serious. Thank you for that. OG Last of Us multiplayer even had a management component to the multiplayer where each match was you going out to look for resources for your settlement, and you could add more people, and that increased your need for resources. I mean, I imagine that there's even like kind of basic sim stuff like that would be relatively easy to build into it. It just seems like, again, there's no middle ground anymore. It's either you're doing the big AAA behemoth stuff or it's not allowed. Like, it's not allowed. If you can't find a way, it's almost like they're trying to just burn through money. They're like, if you can't find a way to spend $100 million on this project, we don't want to let you do it. It's like, you got to find a way to spend more. That's too cheap. We can't do that. No, crank it out. Crank it out. When I think it actually would be good for the industry to do that. Hey, Luke, do you think Herman will be out or revert to being a studio head? If he were going to go back to being a studio head, he'd go back to Guerrilla. I don't know how to say this other than I'm not sure the people at Guerrilla would want him back. Because it's my understanding that a lot of people at Guerrilla are not happy they are being forced to work on a live service game. They want to do Horizon 3. They want to go do a new IP. They want to go back to Killzone and make it open world. Like, do something crazy, open world, revamp, overhaul. Like, it's my understanding that they are not thrilled with him. So I think if Herman goes, he's gone. I think he retires and that's it. You know, I don't think he steps back down. I don't think that's how that'll work. Yeah, right off into the sunset with his millions. Exactly. Thank you for that. Damaging your brand for the sake of margins is something I'll never understand. Well, it's just because they think they can get away with it. They think their margins are wide enough. So even if it tightens those margins a tad because people get upset, they gain enough that it's not that big of a deal. You know, it seems like a lot of corporations nowadays, they just want to gain goodwill and then spend it everywhere until they have nothing left, and then they try to go back and gain more, and then they spend it. So it's just like, get a good relationship with the players and then let's burn it to the ground. That's really how they seem to operate nowadays. Gray does, thank you for that super chat. Hey Luke, have you seen the rise in players on Watch Dogs 1 and 2, and do you think Ubisoft will now revisit the franchise? I think eventually, probably, but I don't think they do until like the 2030s, frankly. I think that they have enough on their plate. For them, the biggest bets, kind of like what Xbox is doing, the ones that make more sense are doubling down on like Assassin's Creed and Far Cry and Rainbow. That's really like where the vast majority of their money comes from. So just double down on those. And that's what they're going to do, I think. Get to Watch Dogs when you have more time. Do that. And then Real Serious, thank you for that one. Download more RAM for $800. Dude, I should have downloaded it. I knew it when I bought it. I should have downloaded it. Would have made more sense. Sam, thank you for that one. Do you think Todd's hand was forced by Asha? I don't think Todd was involved with this. I think Todd got told this is what's happening. I don't think Phil wanted to go toe-to-toe with Todd. I think Phil was like, no, Todd, do whatever you want to do. I trust you. And I think Asha came in and said, no, we're doing this. This makes too much sense. So I don't think that this was a Todd idea. I think Todd was told is what I would expect. Jericho, thank you for the 5. Do you trust modern day Obsidian to make a good AAA Fallout game? Based on what it is now, I would say, like I said earlier, I think the best option for them is to do a remake of the original. Get that under your belt. Loosen up, get rid of the cobwebs, get the muscle memory back, and then maybe we talk about a spin-off. But I would not start with a spin-off. I would do a remake first. That would be my preference. Jog Live, thank you for the 5. So I am considering getting an Xbox Series X because I worry long term about my PS5, which is a launch one, and I won't buy a Pro. Should I pull the trigger? I mean, if you already have a PS5, the best thing apparently for longevity for PS5s is to lay them horizontally, not vertically, because vertically the liquid metal tends to slip and cause problems with heat. And then also clean it like once a year, twice a year, open it up and vacuum it out. Other than that, you should be fine in terms of longevity. As for buying an Xbox Series X, I would say I don't think you need to spend more. I wouldn't spend more. I would just put the money in the market, and then by the time the PlayStation 6 and next gen Xbox comes out, you might be able to afford one of them, That's what I would do. Let's see. Vibe UK, thank you for that one. Thank you for the 5. I've never seen an industry its own maybe eat its own face the way that the gaming industry is right now. Quite extraordinary. Yeah, they really know how to step on every single rake, don't they? Oh yeah, I meant to say eat my own face. You said with a follow-up one. That makes sense. I got there. I figured it out. Miles, thank you for the 10. I know how you feel about Iron Galaxy. What's your honest opinion about how they're dealing with Ops 1 and 2 ports dropping this month and Wager, Theater, and League possibly being removed? I think it will fail. Honestly, they probably do financially fine, assuming that they're not like total technical disasters. But whether or not it meets their expectations, I don't know. I've heard like no buzz about it, but I'm also not in those circles. So I just don't, I don't know. I'm not in those circles. Like the people that are really into that might be excited, and I'm just not part of that group. So I don't know. But I've heard like nobody talking about it. I'm going to be real. I've heard nobody talk about it. So maybe there is excitement. I just haven't seen it. Who is my favorite dev right now? The ones, 3 jump out immediately. It's like the obvious ones, of course. But like Larian, super into their stuff. Warhorse, love their stuff. CDPR, love their stuff. Rockstar, love their stuff. I mean, there's a bunch I could list off, but those are the ones that immediately pop off. Off the dome. Those are the immediate ones, at least. And then Matthew, thank you for that one. It sucks that every game right now will effectively be full price. Oh, I did read that one. Thank you for that one. The Owl says with a 10, when you drop in dat OF. Maybe I did. Maybe you just got to pick it up. Maybe you got to find it. It's hidden. It's only pictures of my lower calf and heel. Good luck, my friend. You got to find it. Gotta find it. Gotta chase it down. The Owl, thank you for the 5 months as well. Kidding. Hope you were doing well. I wasn't. I'm being very serious. This is serious. Let's see. RJ, I think. Thank you for that. 5. Have you seen the most recent marathon numbers? I thought the floor was going to be low, just not that low. I'm curious how long Sony will give them. How low is it right now? Steam DB. Marathon. Oh, yeah. It's not really the direction you want to be going. Yeah. It's not great. I mean, they probably have, I think the numbers suggested that like about 50% of the players were also on PlayStation. So, but even if you say that, they like maybe are hitting 12,000 player peaks or something like that across everything. Like it's not really what you want. It's not really what you want. I've told you guys, my brother is super into Marathon. He loves it. He's one of these people playing. I mean, he plays it like every night. He loves it. But even he's like not sure how long it's destined for this, you know, because it's just at some point the players are playing it, they put 20 hours in, 30 hours in, 50 hours in, whatever, and then they're just moving on. Like it's not a Destiny 2, you know, it's not an MMO. Look at Destiny. Okay. And this game's dead. You know, this game is actually literally dead. How crazy is that? That's outrageous, man. That's crazy. It's actually dead and they're chilling up here. That's crazy. That's crazy. My goodness. Okay, real quick. I want to show you this one. Let's talk about this. This is the other part of the topic we touched on earlier. New segment. So, another rumor started spreading yesterday. Rumor leak, whatever you want to call it. This came from also Jason Schreier, but basically it was suggesting specifically that Elder Scrolls 6 was at least 2 years from release. And this happened when he was speaking on a podcast during or I guess you could call it a podcast, but it was a Bloomberg Live Q&A where people could ask questions directly. And somebody asked about Elder Scrolls 6 specifically. And what Jason said was that he had heard through the grapevine and from his sources that Elder Scrolls 6 was still at least 2 to 3 years away, at least, potentially more. 2 to 3, at least. Can you imagine? Dude, there were people saying not that long ago that Elder Scrolls 6 was launching this year. There were people that actually thought it would be like a surprise drop at the summer show and drop in November. And it looks like it's not coming until 2028 or 2029. Now, my prediction has been 2028. It's been that for a while. You guys know I talk about it all the time. You can't get me to stop talking about it. But it seems like now Jason is even suggesting that it's 2 to 3, so 28 or 29 at least, like at the minimum. It probably or possibly goes deeper and later, but like that's the range that's being talked about by devs internally. Now, this also pairs with news that dropped, of course, earlier today, which was specifically Jason Schreier also doing an article describing how Obsidian has been kind of retooled. They are stopping work on Avowed's sequel. They are stopping work on some of the other stuff that they were doing. And now Obsidian is going to work on a Fallout game. This seems to be the broader approach and strategy from Asha, which is to double down on the big IP, specifically double down on the big IP and try to expedite, let's say, the production on those. I wouldn't be surprised if this also affects Elder Scrolls. Now, how that actually does affect Elder Scrolls remains to be seen because BGS is behind it. And so, like, what can they realistically do to speed it up? I don't know, frankly. 3 of 30. I mean, oh my God, I wouldn't be surprised. But I don't know what she could do to expedite it. I mean, you throw more money at them. I think pretty clearly, I would argue, BGS has not done a great job of managing budgets and managing timeframes. But I think that all of this is compounded by a company culture that is coming from on high. It's coming from Todd. And I think that there has to be a pretty major reset within that. And I'm not sure that Todd's going to be too thrilled about it. But I showed earlier in the stream this clip from an interview that Todd did with Mr. Matty Plays, where he describes how he's okay with people going long lengths of time between receiving information about stuff, and that he wants people to really take their time and really, like, I think what he said specifically is it's okay to miss things. I'll just let Maddie lead into this question, and he was asking in the context of course, Fallout, which is of course a big focus for Xbox right now. But what Todd's going to describe is a broader approach towards franchise management and pacing that applies to Fallout and Elder Scrolls. Because again, before Asha comes in and like forces them to expedite, the approach has been, we get to it when we get to it. Fallout launches in 2035 with Fallout 5, and that is what it is. Deal with it, loser. Like, that's kind of how they approach it. Same with Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls 6 comes when it comes. So if it launches a solid, if it launches 2030, 19 years after Skyrim? 18 years? I mean, even if it's 17 years and it launches in 2028, that's still insane. Okay, that's still insane. Like, there is actually a quantifiable number of people who will literally die of old age, who were fans of the franchise and have gone into their elder years and now cannot play the next one. Like, you're taking so long, your fan base is literally dying of old age. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? But I'll let Todd describe his approach to this, and I want you to listen to it because, again, this whole mentality that Todd's espousing, I think, is whether he likes it or not, I think is going to be abandoned by hook or by crook by Asha. I think she's going to come in and be like, "No, you're gonna deal with it." Is that the saying, hook or by crook? I know it has to do with shepherds, but what's the crook part? What does that mean? The hook is like the shepherd's hook, but what is the crook? Does that mean like you kill the I don't know. I should learn what sayings mean before I say them, shouldn't I? Anyway, listen.
Like, it seemed like when I listened to your interview with Kind of Funny, there are some things in motion with Fallout. I doubt you can specify here today, but it seems like for a lot of fans, the frustration is like, well, why were we waiting in the first place? Like, it was already pretty big and established and successful. Was it like seeking partners? Like, what's going on with the potential New Vegas 2? Like, what's the feel with moving forward with Fallout?
And you can also swap out Fallout with pretty much all of this with Elder Scrolls, and it also applies.
Well, look, first, I agree with the statement that Fallout's never been more popular. Okay. And looking at the number of players coming into those games, obviously the popularity of the TV show. So when we give a lot of thought to kind of franchise management. I spend a lot of time thinking about franchises I love, what I've seen out there in terms of content. And so for us, it's sort of game planning out. Number one, making sure Fallout is relevant in the
Elder
world.
Scrolls is relevant.
And I think, well, clearly it is. And
Check.
people are hungry for even more. We've never stopped doing, Fallout work.
We've never stopped doing Elder Scrolls work. We have Elder Scrolls Online.
A lot of that work goes on, obviously, in Fallout 76.
In ESO and our mobile game Blades, which I just realized they shut down. They still have the Castles spin-off game. I think that's still up. But maybe that's also shut down. I don't know.
We have the Skyline Valley update out today.
Yeah.
And so really, really excited with where that game is at. Feel really fortunate, and the team so proud of the work that's been done there. And then for other Fallout games in the future, obviously I can't talk about those right now, but I would say sort of rushing through them, or we need to get stuff out that is different than the work we're doing in 76. We don't feel like.
So get stuff out, hurry to hustle to get it done. And stuff specifically he frames that is not what we're doing in Fallout 76. He sees no need to do stuff other than what they're doing in Fallout 76 to keep Fallout fans at bay.
We need
And then this also applies to Elder Scrolls. We don't see the need to expedite with other stuff.
to rush any of that. Right now, the Fallout TV show fills a certain niche in terms of the franchise and storytelling. Totally get the desire for a new kind of mainline single player game. And look, those things take time. I don't think it's bad for people to miss things.
Sorry, I was blocking Todd.
Right.
I don't think it's bad for people to miss things
Right.
as well. So
That is really easy to say when the company is healthy, when things are good. But the moment that your company starts imploding financially, you just can't really say. You can't really say, I think it's okay for people to miss things. Todd, it's been 17 years, friend, since by the time it launches, minimum 17 years. That's insane. That's crazy. That's stupid. Okay? That's crazy. That's not just missing something. That's forgetting it. Okay? That's forgetting it. There are people who will be able to play Fallout 5 who were not born when Fallout 4 launched. Like I said, 20 years between major franchise releases means that there's going to be people who literally they were fans of it when they were 50 or in their 50s. And then they get in their 70s. They may pass away from old age related illnesses by the time the sequel comes. That's ridiculous. Back in the day, you remember the reason why Fallout New Vegas happened was because Robert Altman, the guy in charge of ZeniMax, he was looking at their lineup and he said, golly, man, Fallout 3 just launched in 2008. You're going to do Skyrim in 2011. And then Fallout 4 isn't going to come until 2015? That's 7 years without a Fallout game. That is way too long. So Robert Altman said, I'm going to get these guys. They work over at Obsidian. They do great work. We're going to give them the rights to the IP. We'll let them do a spinoff. They'll put it out in 2010. Get a game between the two. Easy. It's cheap to make. Fans will have something to tide them over until Fallout 4. He thought 7 years. 7 years was too much. It's been 8 since the announcement of Elder Scrolls 6. They announced that in the summer, in June of 2018. It has been 8 years since they announced Elder Scrolls 6 with the trailer. And Robert Altman back in the day thought 7 was too much for having to wait between games. That's insane. That's insane. So What's the point of all of this? Well, the reporting is now that, it's the timeline is currently 2028 to 2029. And I think that Asha is going to be totally intolerant of those timelines moving forward. Okay. Assuming she's still in position in like 3-4 years, I don't think she's going to put up with that. Now the reporting is coming out that she's having Obsidian work on a Fallout project. I think the one that makes most sense, of course, is Fallout New Vegas Remake. Have them start with that, and then you can do spin-off games after that. But New Vegas Remake is such a layup. You'll get easy brownie points. That'll work. I would not be surprised if she's also entertaining the possibility of other Elder Scrolls spin-off content that we are not aware of. So, for example, we got reporting that about half of the team that works on Elder Scrolls Online was laid off in the first wave of layoffs that hit on Monday. A lot of people within the team are questioning, how do we support this MMO if half of our team is gone? It's almost like they don't want you to work on the MMO anymore. It might make more sense to Asha strategically to have that same team that's got experience with Elder Scrolls work on an Elder Scrolls spin-off game, to work on basically Elder Scrolls New Vegas, something smaller, tighter in the IP, in the franchise. They have experience with the IP, with working with BGS, but you can have smaller experiences that sprinkle in so you're not waiting so long between massive releases. And it seems amazingly enough that Asha is aware of something that Todd has hand waved away for years, which is basically just the idea that the live service online games are not enough to satiate the demand. What players like you and me want when we say we want a Fallout game is different than what the Fallout 76 player wants and is okay with. Those expectations are different. Okay. It's different. And so I think Asha's realized that. And I don't know how profitable something like ESO is. Yes, ESO has a lot of players and they have microtransactions and they got stuff that's generating revenue, sure, or subscriptions and stuff like that. But it's also important to remember that MMOs are notoriously expensive to operate, like very expensive to operate. So it may not actually be that profitable at the end of the day. I mean, we saw the reporting Destiny 2, which had ridiculous player counts, was apparently almost never profitable. It was profitable like 2 quarters out of its entire lifespan, which is insane. Like it's crazy. So the players can just watch the show. Well, that's effectively what Todd said. What he said about Fallout is we have the Fallout show, which is filling a certain niche when it comes to storytelling within the franchise. Like the single player narrative games are what he also says are for telling the stories within and narrative storytelling within the franchise. So he sees the show as something that should satisfy the single player gamers. And this is why the fandom is frustrated, because they feel left behind. They feel abandoned. And I don't blame them when they have to wait 20 freaking years between releases, okay? It's okay to be upset and to be like, Todd, what is wrong with you? Like, what are we doing? That is definitely his focus. Well, I mean, at some point, he's telling you directly, when you ask about Fallout, he pivots and says Fallout 76. That is his focus. That's where he wants you to play if you're a Fallout fan. He doesn't see the need to put something else in there. Now, the person who does apparently is looking at it from a business perspective, and I think that's Asha, and she's looking at it and saying, our fans don't want to wait 20 years between games. And at some point, if they have to wait 20 years, by the time the sequel comes out, they may not be fans, quote unquote, anymore because they felt abandoned. You have to harbor fandoms. You have to build it and grow it and take care of it and nurture it. You don't get to take it for granted for 2 decades, which is apparently Todd's entire strategy, is to release a Fallout game, do a live service game for different players, leave it for 2 decades, and then get back to it and then act like you're supposed to just be like thanking them and groveling at their feet. I don't think that's how that works. Flip it on its head. Look at what like CDPR is doing. What are they doing? Their plan is to launch 3 Witcher games in like 6 years. I think it's 3 Witcher games and Cyberpunk's sequel within 6 years, I believe is the time frame, and a remake. Like they're expecting to crank this stuff out once they get firing on all cylinders. Like, and that's their competition. No joke. If what Jason is saying is true. And if it's 2 to 3 years out minimum, let's say worst case scenario, it's 4 years out. They launch Elder Scrolls 6 in 2030. According to the current timelines, CDPR may, by that point, have launched The Witcher 4, The Witcher 1 Remake, and potentially either The Witcher 5 or the sequel to Cyberpunk 2077. Between now and when they would launch Elder Scrolls 6. Like, your fans will leave, okay? Your fans will move over to another studio that makes it look like you're not even trying, because I'm not sure you are. If this is you firing on all cylinders, if this is you at your best, I'd hate to see you at your worst. I mean, my God, dude. My God. It's unacceptable. Now, there are some things I want to say. I saw this comment. I wanted to just touch on it. I really like Juicehead, and Juicehead makes fantastic videos. You should absolutely subscribe to him. Covers a lot of BGS, RPG stuff. But he said, I really don't agree with a lot of the Bethesda Game Studios criticism around their games taking too long. I agree that 15 plus years between releases is insane and should be addressed, but forcing BGS, the dev known for buggy releases, but otherwise very unique and special games, to work faster just seems like a recipe for disaster. We're going to circle back to this in just a second. You better believe me. BGS should be able to take their time and make special games. In my opinion, Xbox should have been utilizing the franchises with other developers. Give someone else a swing at an Elder Scrolls game, or hey, literally any of the studios who openly said they'd love to work on Fallout. Larian, Obsidian, a chance at a spinoff. Imagine Larian getting the keys to Fallout for like a top-down RPG, a true RPG. Bro. That would be insane. It's just like, process that for a minute. A Larian Fallout game that it's like, oh my God. I don't even want to think about it too much because it would be so great. Like it would make Fallout 5 not look like an RPG. I'll tell you what. Anyway, this I think though is the operative point in the problem. Okay. This is my point. Okay. I agree that 15 years between releases is insane and should be addressed. Okay, we're on the same page. That's insane. They should get games out faster, or at least sequels out faster. You know, compress that down. Maybe 3 franchises, is too much. Maybe you just alternate between the 2 before putting them on ice for a while. Maybe that's what you have to do. But okay, we're on the same page there. But forcing BGS, the dev known for buggy releases, but otherwise very unique and special games, to work faster just seems like a recipe for disaster. So I agree, BGS is a dev known for buggy releases and maybe lack of polish. And so forcing them to expedite seems like a recipe for disaster because they're just going to launch an even buggier game, an even worse optimized game, etc., etc. I think my point is that's the problem. The problem is their tech stack is not exactly industry leading. If anything, it's industry lagging. Like they actually consistently have some of the least impressive tech for games of this caliber and budget, certainly, when you compare it to the competition. They just do. Like, compare it to what you see with CDPR, with the Red Engine, with Cyberpunk, what you see with any studio using Unreal Engine for their open world games nowadays, what you see with even what what's the name of the studio that remade Oblivion. I'm blanking on it, but they even used an Unreal Engine wrapper over top of the Creation Engine and got the best of both worlds, Like, you look at what Larian's able to do. You look at what Warhorse was able to do with KCD2 and KCD1. Virtuos, thank you. What Crimson Desert, what Perlibis did with Crimson Desert, with the Black Space Engine. You can see what's possible with cutting edge tech in 2026. And then you compare it with what Bethesda's doing with like Starfield, and it's pretty clear there's a gap. There's a gap, So I agree they're known for like lack of polish, for bugs, for lack of optimization and stuff, that's a problem. Like, they shouldn't be known for that. That should be deemed unacceptable. I would argue. I would argue that should just be deemed unacceptable, and that they should strive day in, day out to never be associated with those things ever again. So I agree that if they're forced to rush, they're probably going to get it buggy and things aren't going to run super well. That's a problem. Like, that we shouldn't just assume or accept, well, that's just how they are. That's just how they are. You know, it's like I was going to invite my friend to play D&D with us, but he has this nasty habit of every time he eats pizza or any food at a public gathering, he just takes it and rubs it into the table as everybody's sitting at the table. And then he like throws it at other people at the table. So maybe we just don't get food for our game night that we're inviting him to. No, he shouldn't throw food at people and rub it into the table. Okay. Like we're skipping past the part where he shouldn't be doing the thing you're talking about. Like, we should work around this thing. That's bad. I'm like, no, he shouldn't be doing that. Like, the problem isn't the food. The problem is him doing that and throwing food at people. Okay. I'm hungry. You're right. I'm quite hungry. Feeling quite hungry. Jesus Christ be praised. I like this, I think, is part of the problem, is that there is an assumption that BGS must stay this way forever, and they don't have to. Okay. If the company decided that this was unacceptable, there could be structural changes to address it. That's what CDPR did after the catastrophic collapse of Cyberpunk at launch, was that they went back and asked, why did this happen? And how do we make sure it never happens again? And then you evaluate it, they restructure everything, and they deliver Phantom Liberty to demonstrate we still got it. And they sure do. They figured it out. And they fixed it. BGS has never fixed it. And I say this with love, Juicehead, because I love Juicehead. But I think a lot of it is because the fandom generally takes this approach where they just assume BGS will always be that way because they've always been that way. They don't have to be. That's my point. If Todd cared about polish and decided, no, we are going to launch our game and we're going to be seen as like the Naughty Dog of RPGs and of open world games. Like, we're going to be seen as the guys with insane production quality and polish and optimization and cutting edge tech. We're going to invest heavily in that. That's what we're going to be known for. He could do it. Todd has more cachet than any other developer in all of Xbox. And he's in charge of two of the biggest and most profoundly important IP within all of Xbox. If he wanted to do that, he could. But he knows he doesn't have to. He knows he can launch Elder Scrolls 6 with load screens going into every single building, with pretty regular bugs, with unremarkable graphical fidelity, and with faces that look like they're made of toilet paper and resin, and that the fandom will still say, yeah, but it's Bethesda. What did you expect? What'd you expect? If you want better face animations and quality, turn on DLSS 5. Like, that's literally what the argument's going to be. And this is why they get away with it. And it's a constant problem, man. It's because there's just no real accountability at the end of the day. Like, it's just constant excuses for why it can't be better. They can't do any better than this. And at some point, I think you should pause and go, wait, they're supposed to be selling me the product. They're supposed to be like selling me on the idea that this is good. Why am I like making excuses for their mediocrity? You know, you shouldn't. That's not how this is supposed to work. So I understand what's being said here. I agree that 15 years is between releases is insane and should be addressed. And I agree that BGS being forced to expedite and given a tighter timeline probably means their games will launch buggier. I would argue that's precisely the problem. And that telling BGS, hey, you shouldn't need 7 years, 6-7 years to get Elder Scrolls 6 out the door, that shouldn't mean, okay, well, it's going to launch and run like crap. Dude, you had 7 years. You have 6 years. That should not be seen as like, oh, well, we had to crunch and throw it together super fast. Like, you point back to New Vegas and it's literally like, Tony Stark made this in a cave with a box of scraps. That's literally, they made it in 18 months. The industry has changed a lot since then. So let's give them twice the time. You got 3 years to make it. Do you think they'd be able to do that? It might not run super well, might be a little buggy. Okay. But if the game is really good underneath it, I think people will catch up. We'll figure it out. But it's just, there's always, I don't know. I get perturbed because I feel like a lot of the time there are like excuses made to justify mediocrity within within a lot of companies, whether it's BGS or Ubisoft, where it's like, well, they have to have the in-game store with those skins because people buy them. It's like, well, okay. And that's how they pay a lot of the bills. Okay, well, if the game was even better, they would sell even more copies, and then maybe they wouldn't need to do that. And I think that might even be a better option. You know, like, just because something is that way and that's been normal for a long time doesn't mean it has to stay that way. You know, like, you can ask for better. That's all I'm saying. Okay. So, but I think it's a good point. And honestly, I think Juicehead's right, because I agree. I don't think Todd is going to magically wake up and like overhaul the whole production pipeline of BGS to get their games super performant and optimized and all that. I don't think he's going to do that. I think Juice is right that realistically, if Asha comes in and says, you got 1 year less than you did before, it probably just means that it's going to launch and be pretty buggy, and it's going to be even funnier to do the side-by-side comparisons to The Witcher 4. I think that's probably how it is. But I think it's because for 2 decades, BGS has been like treated as though they're like the toddler at the art fair. They come up with like the crayon drawing that doesn't look anything like what they say they drew, and everybody pats them on the head and says, that's really good. Good job. So proud of you. That's okay when it's a toddler, but when it's a professional company that people have been like tasked with working on with millions and millions of dollars behind them, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. We shouldn't just assume because they're given a deadline that's reasonable that the game is going to be a broken mess. Like, that's sad that even fans of BGS are like, well, if you tell them they only have 6 years, it's going to be broken. You know, like, that's silly, but that's where we are. Shotgun, thank you for the very generous 20. Thank you.
They've been listening to a lot of fan feedback.
Oh, it cut off. Hold on. Shotgun, thank you for that very generous 20. Sorry, I'm 11 minutes behind. Shame about the ESO devs leaving. Game is just making a turn with new management that's taken over. They've been listening to a lot of fan feedback and making changes based on that. Well, that's good to hear. I'm glad they're doing that. And like I said, I don't know if the actual strategy is to have them work on like an Elder Scrolls spin-off game, but I would not be shocked at all if in a couple of weeks we get news, or even this week, we get news that ZeniMax Online is being rebranded as BGS, wherever they're based. I don't know where they're based, but BGS, whatever the city is. And it's now Elder Scrolls spin-off studio. And they start working on basically New Vegas, but Elder Scrolls. Honestly, probably plays a lot like Avowed, frankly. That would be my guess. But I think that that's probably what they're going to do. It just makes too much sense to me. Why would you lay off 50% of the MMO team unless you want to use that team for something else? If you want their game and that team just shut down, just fire the whole team, shut the studio down. But they didn't do that. They just scaled it down almost to like a pre-production, early production size. So you might have a skeleton crew working on the online game, keeping it alive for a little bit while the other team preps the Elder Scrolls game. I mean, I think it starts to make sense, but yeah. I don't understand the bottleneck personally. Is it the engine, the world, the graphics? I think that there's a number of bottlenecks within BGS that all compound together. The one and the best place you can go to listen to stuff about this, I've shouted him out many times before. You should absolutely go and sub. We've looked at clips and streams. But Kiwi Talks, this YouTube channel does amazing interviews with devs from all over the industry, including devs with people that like have worked at Rockstar on GTA, people that worked at Naughty Dog, people that work and like devs talking about Todd Howard specifically. Like this, where is it? Oh, Kurt Coleman, writer, one of the like OG guys, designer on Oblivion, Skyrim, Fallout 3, 4, 76, and Starfield. Or Heather Heather was a texture artist, later went on to work at, I believe, Naughty Dog, and also worked with Todd. And like they talk all about their experience with Todd. I actually think in this interview, yeah, I remember this. Fun fact, Heather mentions that Todd wanted to know what it was like to work with Neil Druckmann.
I'm not sure what it was, but he was just asking a lot of questions of like what it was like working with Neil and what it was like working at Naughty Dog. And then I would run into him occasionally in the halls, and he'd ask how things are going with like the layered material system. So yeah, I don't know Neil. I don't know Todd very well.
You have someone
Which is interesting. The fact that Todd's like, Neil seems cool. What's he got? Can you tell me a little about him? I just want to know. I'm curious. I'm just curious. Anyway. But these interviews are fascinating if you want to know more about behind the scenes stuff and how it actually works and functions in the company in general. They'll really inform your opinion of the studio and how it works and functions, because a lot of their stories share very similar notes. And again, I think that it's mainly just that they need to do major overhauls to how the company functions and flows and how stuff gets done. But they've never done that. And so it's just caused a lot of bloat, I think, unfortunately. Yeah. Neil has a lot of money, more than us for sure. Yeah. He's better than us, and we are poor. Indeed. Joel, I hate living in Australia. Prices for games and consoles are too expensive. I'm going to have to give up on new games to go back to the PS3 or PS4, or come to America and get some freedom dollars. That's a great option too, you know? We also have really good AC. It's one of the main reasons people come here, apparently. Will they ever cut Todd? Let's say they did. What do you see happening to BGS in the long term? I think the only way Todd would leave is if he were retiring. And if he retired, I think it would just be people like Emil that take over and get control. I think that's probably what it is. I think. Yeah, I don't think it would magically like fix things, if that's the point. I think actually a lot of the stats are pretty clear. Like the more involved in a game Todd is, according to like Metacritic scores and fan reactions and everything, the better it is. So the more involved Todd is, the better the game does. As he gets less involved, and you can track it based on these interviews and what he was working on at different times, as he gets less involved, the quality of the project drops. So Fallout 76, he was mainly working on pre-production on like Fallout or on Starfield. Kind of drops off. Starfield, towards launch, he was getting really disconnected from it because he was doing executive production work on Indiana Jones and working on the Fallout TV show and stuff like that. He started to get less involved, and the secondary producers got more power. And Starfield also kind of falls off a little bit. So it seems like the more involved Todd is, the better the game is. It's just a matter of whether or not he can do that and whether or not it interests him. And that's one I just honestly don't know. Let's see. Oh my God, you guys are too generous. My goodness. Marathon numbers, I saw that one. Why not swap out a stick from your PC and test it on Nikki's PC? In my experience, RAM was the cause, the way you know exactly what the issue is. Thank you, Wallet the Great, for that one. I am willing to do that. The danger with doing that is that if it's a PlayStation, if it's a power supply issue, my fear would be swapping good RAM into a slot, and it's either like the motherboard or the power supply. If the motherboard or power supply is bad, it could also fry the RAM that's good that I took from my work computer. So that's just what would scare me. That's what would scare me. I hope Todd doesn't get laid off. Dude, can you imagine if Todd posts to LinkedIn? I am open for work. Got laid off. Apparently my job was labeled redundant. They've replaced me with Copilot and a mop bucket on top of a broom handle. But I'm really excited to pursue my passions elsewhere. Yeah, I'm going to pursue my passion for chess and start going to tournaments more. That would be funny. You know what? That would be interesting. That'd be interesting. I'll give you that one. Your opinion on Minecraft funding most of Xbox? I mean, I think it's Minecraft, it's the mobile games with King and Call of Duty, and they are like the few profitable things that are bankrolling everything. So I'm not surprised. I think that was the whole idea of Game Pass, was that the big guys fund everything else. It's just you can't afford any misses. And like Call of Duty had a big miss, and so that put all the weight on Minecraft, and all of a sudden it's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Starscream Re, thank you for the 10. Now that Black Flag Resynced has returned, I'm waiting for a PlayStation Cargo mod pirate games and I can't read. I'm waiting for a PlayStation Cargo mod pirating games and consoles. Oh, that's fun. That's funny. Like, that's funny. People, like all of the crates that float in the ocean that you pick up with like, you know, random survivors and stuff. It's just boxes of PlayStation 5s and like that different PS5 games. That would be funny. That's a good idea. I'd play that. That's good. That's good. The Owl, thank you for that 10. Very generous. Just leg. Hold on. Just leg, not even peek at eggplant. Darn, that's more depressing than Starfield. I feel like your comment made sense when you sent it like 30 minutes ago, and all context has been lost. So now I'm thoroughly confused because you said with a very generous 10, just leg, ? Not even a peek at eggplant. Damn, that's more depressing than Starfield. I am sorry, my friend. I have no idea what that means. I believe it's phallic or some sort of suggestive statement, but I'm not sure. Hugwai, thank you for the message over on Twitch. A thunderstorm killed my SSD just by the EMP. We weren't hit and the power didn't even flicker. Dude, that's crazy. That's scary. That'll happen. It'll happen. Funky Dreams, thank you for the sub over on Twitch as well. Mifra, also thank you for the sub, my friend. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Spark, thank you for the 10. What are your thoughts on the trend towards extraction shooters and why is this genre taking off? One reason I feel is that unlike Battle Royales, every match affects the next one, whether you win or not. I think honestly, it's sometimes as simple as this. A lot of games are informed by what the devs are playing. I was told one of the reasons why Marathon turned into what it became was because the people that pitched it and designed it were just happened to be playing a ton of Tarkov. Like a ton of Tarkov at that precise moment. And so they just played it and were like, oh, that sounds fun. I'm into that. And decided to just kind of turn that into it mixed with Heroes and call it good. Like, I think that's honestly all it really takes a lot of the time. So like extraction shooters, why are they becoming so big right now? I think because a lot of the devs that are in charge of these games right now, years ago when they started on them, happened to all be playing these types of games. Yeah, I think that's a lot of it. There's also a lot of hype around them, you know. Yeah. Did Luke show some knee? I might have. Yeah. Let's see. Is chat hiding posts? Oh, it is. Oh, Destin, that's funny. I had top chat turned on for the stream, and so I saw people reacting to your message going lol Destin, OMG Destin. But I was like, I don't see a message from Destin. And it's because YouTube's auto mod filtered out you saying, you see, Luke, eggplant means penis. That's funny. That's funny. Oh, I see. It was about the OnlyFans comment I made. Oh, yeah, because I said it was only lower calf and upper heel. That's right. That's right. I remember. That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. That's funny. I love how, yeah, the super chat was in reference to you starting an OnlyFans with only your lower calf and ankle. Yeah, that's one of those comments that I wish just gets spread with no context. People are like, do you see this comment in Luke's chat? What the hell are they talking about? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. But it does mean penis. Just to be very clear, it does. It does actually mean that. Easy, thank you for the 10. If Elder Scrolls 6 comes out like some of us expect it to be, do you think that would be the final nail for Bethesda to clean up their act, or does the fan base cover for them again. Hopefully it's good personally. I'm going to be real. I think under Phil, it would have just been, well, try again next time. I'm getting the feeling that under Asha, if you can't deliver on what you are being asked of, you're probably gone. Like, I think that she's just got this general mentality of like, nope, the fun times are over. We're here to like actually make money. And so no more playtime, figure it out. So I think if like if they take a ton of time, the budget's insane for Elder Scrolls 6, they launch it, it's super buggy. Everyone is like super mid on it. It's like a 72 on Metacritic. I think BGS gets hit with like massive layoffs, and she's going to be like, okay, where's Obsidian? They did a good job. Larian wants Fallout. We'll just hand it to them. You know, I think that the days of silliness are over. Speaking of silliness, let me show you this new mini thing. I came across this clip on TikTok and I wanted to share it with you because it tells a whole story of second chances and opportunities. Honestly, it kind of looks like fun to do this kind of thing. And this is where I had the most fun with Red Dead Redemption 2. It was just screwing around, not even in the questing, just screwing around. And this is an example of that.
Civilization. Let's find out. What happens when you bring a convicted felon back into civilization? Let's find out. It was a gloomy morning when I stumbled upon a random boat and decided to row it.
Oh, wait. Oh God, I hit spacebar. Thank you.
Through Super Chat. I think I broke your chat's brain.
I think you did
with
too.
With love and affection. On a real note, I enjoy your streams and content. I can't wait for Elder Scrolls 6.
I can't wait either. For different reasons, probably. But I can't wait either. And dude, either way, I'm going to be having a great time. If it sucks donkey ass, I'm going to have so much to talk about. And it's going to be so fun. And if it's amazing, I'm going to have a new amazing Elder Scrolls game to play. Either way, I win. And I cannot wait. Can't wait. I hope it's amazing. I hope it's amazing. It would be so great. Do I think it'll be amazing? I mean, like I said, it's going to launch next to like The Witcher 4, 5, Witcher 1 Remake. And those are just CDPR games. There's going to be, in that same time frame, another Kingdom Come game. And right around 2029, 2030, there should, in theory, be the Warhorse Middle-earth game, where they're making a Middle-earth RPG with their expertise from Kingdom Come Deliverance. And these are all launching, and Divinity around then too. Yeah. It's going to be tough to out-compete those, I think. But it's going to be good. You know, maybe there's something really fresh and crazy, you know, that comes out and blows people's minds. I don't know. Let me show you this though. This is interesting. Okay. Watch this.
Happens when you bring a convicted felon back into civilization. Let's find out. It was a gloomy morning when I stumbled upon a random boat and decided to row it into the fog. As the mist slowly cleared, a strange structure rose before me. And that's when I realized I had rowed into forbidden territory.
Ah, yes.
I climbed the guard tower, gave this guy the 1-2 special, and started scouting the area, to which I spotted some locked up homies. Knowing no one deserved this fate, I watched this guy as he worked, and once the coast was clear,
He needs a second
I
chance.
revealed myself. But my hands slipped during the extraction, and suddenly, every guard was on us. I quickly fixed my mistake, rushed back to the boat, secured him in place, and rowed straight towards civilization. After finally reaching the city,
Yep.
I untied him in a quiet spot, only for this ungrateful scum to swing at me. Naturally,
not even thankful.
I showed him who the Alpha was, and taught him a lesson by locking him in the cemetery for the night.
Yeah, you reset the
When he
AI.
finally
There you
calmed
go.
down, I freed him once again, and this time, our friendship truly flourished.
And hello again.
For a moment, everything was perfect, until he clutched his stomach. And before I knew it, he snapped.
Just starts fighting. Arthur not helping at all. Be
As
a
I
homie.
watched him terrorize the city I once loved, I realized it had all just been an act. I had freed a monster, and I knew what I had to do. But after locking him up and visiting him one last time, I finally realized he had been left on that island for a reason.
Oh my God. What have I done?
What happened?
And that's the premise of Red Dead Redemption 3. That's how they set it up. That's how they set it up. Shout out Boom Clips Gaming. I don't know if they were the original creator. They've done a bunch of videos kind of like that, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Can this vampire really turn into a bat? Let's find out. I was out doing some casual bat hunting when suddenly it reminded me of him.
So, you found me. I'll suck you dry.
Which got me thinking, can a vampire really turn into a bat? Well, there was only one way to find out.
Oh, hey, dude.
First,
There we
after
go.
taking his earnings, I remembered vampires supposedly can't cross moving water. So I brought him to a lake, hoping he'd transform and chase me while he's angry.
Clever, clever.
But instead of him attacking, someone else did. Since he refused to do it willingly, I gave him one last chance before resorting to more extreme methods. I returned him to his natural habitat, reunited him with his family, and waited for his instincts to finally kick in. And it seems like extreme methods it is. You see, I figured he just needed a little push to get into character. So I dangled him upside down like a bat in a cave.
Smart.
And gave him some proper airtime.
Oh, good.
And still, nothing. At that point, he left me no choice. Surely he'd transform
you gotta
if his
go.
life was on the
You
line,
gotta go, Mama Bird.
right?
Push him out the nest.
Oh no. What have I done? Vampires are still human after all. So, in a final act of redemption, I grabbed a wagon, visited a nearby enemy camp, packed them up nice and tight,
Yep.
and brought them back, hoping fresh human blood would bring him back to life. And when I was done, I waited, praying for a miracle, until finally...
No. This is like exactly the kind of thing you're doing in a game when your mom walks in the room, like growing up. She's like, "What is wrong with you?" You're like, I was being funny. You know, it's really entertaining. Honestly, I'm not crazy. He's alive.
Huh. Can this vamp...
Honestly, this is the best use of free time in Red Dead. I'm gonna be real. That's pretty great. That's fantastic. That's pretty fantastic. Anyway, so there you go. Again, Boom Clips Gaming. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Very funny, and puts videos like this out with all sorts of different little premises that are very entertaining. So I recommend you go follow him on TikTok if you have not already. There you go. There you go. There you go. Okay. Are there other things? Okay. Okay. My queen is here. My flame, my muse. Good timing, my queen. I was just...
Getting a knock because you don't want me to say anything embarrassing while you're on the internet.
I didn't say it. I didn't say it. How are you? Oh, show them your nails. She got her nails did. And they have little... Where's the flower? I can't see on the camera.
It's on my middle finger.
You gotta flash it. The queen has arrived. I need a sound bite of like little trumpets. Hold on. Trumpets. Blowing. Also, look at my recommended video. 1 hour of silence, occasionally broken up by a dodgeball sound effect. They know what I like. Trumpets blowing.
That sounds like it could be sexual.
Here. No, I want like actual this.
I feel like it'd be more appropriate if it was that cracking.
These are all like the world is ending trumpets. These aren't like fun trumpets. I need like the queen is here.
I just want quack.
No, these are all sad. Okay. I didn't think like you could find sad trumpets, but most of these are sad. Oh, fattest trumpet solo? That's a little different vibe than I was going for. You know what? We'll circle back to it. We'll find better trumpets. Okay? We'll find better trumpets. These aren't doing it. My goodness. My goodness. With a cookie, no less. Twitch chat of brokenness. Did you have a cookie? Did you actually have
no.
Caught red-handed. Viking horns? Is that the key? Viking horns.
That sounds even more sexual.
It's just that is, I'll give you that. It's epic. It's kind of what you would imagine hearing when like elephants storm out of the ocean onto a beach. You know, royal horns, I guess. Are those? Oh, look at this little prince. Yeah, that's better.
But now do it with duck.
Royal ducks. Royal ducks.
Yeah.
Okay, big royal ducks.
I'm just a girl who wants some ducks.
Okay, this is the whole video.
Look at his
The page is called Royal Ducks, and the description is Royal Ducks, hashtag ducks, hashtag ducks again, hashtag goose, hashtag ducklings pro. These people love their ducks. Tell you what, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
They ain't ducking around.
No, they ain't. No, they ain't. Now I'm going to get, my algorithm's going to be screwed after this. I'm just going to be like, we're going to be talking about some gaming news story and then just randomly, I'm nothing but duck recommended videos. Hashtag ducks, hashtag ducks for life. Yeah. Hashtag ducklings pro. Anyway, fam, I missed a call from someone. I'm going to call it there, my friends. We've been going for like 3 hours.
Oh, it's a graveyard. Oh, no, it's just a...
It does kind of look like a tombstone for a duck. Yeah. This turned dark. Yeah, that's pretty good. Mid-level NPC, thing for the 2. Excited for Galactic Racer. Looks like Star Wars Burnout. Dude, and that's what I think it is. It's pretty baller. It's pretty baller. I'm very excited for it too. It's gonna be great. I appreciate the gosh darn heck out of all of you. You guys are amazing. I will be back on Friday, probably.
Nope.
Or Thursday. I don't know. We'll figure out when I'm back. Okay. Much love, my friends. I will see you soon. Hugs and kisses. I have background dancers. This is great. Much love. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye. Mwah.